Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrology for 2024. I'm going to give you sort of a high-level overview for each of the months and generally speaking for the year. I will go into the sun signs and ascendants towards the end, but you can always check in on the chapters yourself that are listed below as well as in the timestamps as well. So for 2024, actually the most significant thing, especially in the US of A, is not necessarily the astrology. It's actually an election year, a presidential election year for 2024, culminating at the election on the 5th of November 2024. Now, I'll cover it a little bit more when I get into the month of November, but notably we have Mars will be opposite Pluto at this time, so we can expect some potential big egos out there, and I guess that's not going to be unusual, right? So this next part of my video, I'm going to talk about just the general overarching types of things that are going to be happening astrologically before I get into like the months and the details of them. So one of the first biggest things that's going to happen on January 1st, Pacific time, is that Mercury will go direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, but it's important to remember that it's going direct at that degree. In November, there will be another Mercury retrograde, and it will go retrograde at that. So that degree point of 22 degrees, for various reasons, which I'll get into in the details, is going to be important. If you've got that in your chart, pay attention to what house it's in. There's going to be some stuff that goes on for the whole of 2024 that affects you. Speaking of other Mercury retrogrades, there's two other ones. We've got a Mercury retrograde that's going to be in Aries. The same month that Aries, you actually have an eclipse, total new moon eclipse at 19 degrees. So and it's all going to occur in Aries, and it's all going to occur in April. So that's an important time of considering new starts and pioneering new plans and paths for yourself, generally speaking. And the other Mercury retrograde that's going to happen starts in Virgo in August, but then ends up around 21 degrees of Leo. So both those signs, especially you, Virgo, because Mercury rules your sign, is going to be important for you to go back and looking at important details, right, for yourself during that time period of August. But Leo will be affected too, because of course that whole Mercury retrograde will go direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So that's another important Mercury retrograde, 3 of them this year. We've also I already talked about the eclipse that's happening in April at 19 degrees towards the end of April in Aries. But also in April, we have Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And it's going to be at 22 degrees of Taurus around April as well. But realistically, both Jupiter and Uranus will be conjunct very, very close together most of April and actually parts of May too. So those are also 2 months that are going to be important for us to be involved in some unexpected things coming our way that maybe help us break out of a rut. Big or small ruts, doesn't really matter. Most affected, of course, is going to be Taurians, and then the opposite sign of Scorpio too, where your partners may be brought in more. The eclipses, like I said, continue in both Libra as well as Aries. I'll discuss those in the monthly part of this video. But the other big thing in terms of eclipses is in September, the 17th of September, we will have our first eclipse that's not in Aries or Libra. It's going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. And this kicks off us understanding that the transiting north nodes are going to be changing soon. Not in September, but in the second half of January 2025. And this eclipse on the 17th of September at 25 degrees Pisces is important because it's going to bring some things to light, probably in a big way if you've got anything around those degrees. So let's take 24, 25, 26 degrees of Pisces. You can bet that the following January 2025 for 18 months, that area of your life is going to be lit up and affected. But Pisces in particular is going to be affected because, of course, that eclipse is going to be very closely to conjuncting Neptune that's still in Pisces itself, along with Saturn. All right, that's just a really general overview. I'm now going to get into the individual months and some of the aspects that are happening at that time. All right, so starting off with January, literally on the 1st of Jan, we have that Mercury that was going retrograde in December 2023 will now go direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And, Sagittarius is a very hopeful sign. And so I just saw this as a standalone to be very hopeful. Now, we still have to have Mercury come out of the shadow period and go back into Capricorn, right around the 8th degree of Capricorn. That's not going to really happen till about the 21st, 22nd of January. It'll be officially out of shadow period. But the other thing that we have happening in January that I thought was noteworthy was the fact that, we all know that Pluto is basically in Aquarius, but that 2024 is the very last year that Pluto will kind of go back into the last degrees of Capricorn. But in January, we will have a Sun at 0 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so that's going to be a very, very important time period. It is around that 21st, 22nd time period too, when we have Mercury going out of shadow. So I would expect some kind of significant effect from the standpoint of probably the world leaders, and something that tells us that there is a definite shift with regards to power and how it's being used. I will cover January as well in more detail in my January video. The other thing that happens is, and it usually does happen around this time of year, is Uranus will be going direct. So I see that as significant too. Now, that Uranus going direct in January may actually give us a lot of impetus to break free of something. And maybe that Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. So maybe that's going to be a time, the month of January, where we see significant change with regards to, more things being given to the people, a more even playground with regards to, what everyone's going to be able to access, healthcare, anything along that line, and just being treated well, that everyone's being treated well, right? Lots of humanitarian type things may be going on too. But it really is giving power back to the people. And so, sometimes this can turn out where, there's going to be certain entrenched political parties ousted, and, the people decide to make the changes, right? All right, so that's January. We move on to February. And the 9th of February, we have a new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. Now, although this isn't going to be doing anything directly with Pluto, it is a new moon in Aquarius where Pluto is going to habit pretty soon, basically in November 2024 for 20 years. So I saw this new moon as probably something significant because it also opposes Uranus, which is now direct, and that is one of its rulers. So I would expect something significant of new that's going to happen around that new moon. And if you individually have something, say, around the 20-degree mark of Aquarius, you can expect some unexpected new beginning here. And at that same time, the north nodes are going to be conjuncting Chiron. And so this says, from a collective level to me, great healing for our future destiny. We're going to have Pluto for most of February 2024 at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And, right the way the beginning and into the first half of February, we're going to have that whole 0 degrees of Aquarius and Pluto being aspected by the inner planets. First of all, it's going to be Mercury. So that says some kind of powerful message will be given. It could also be translated into, because that whole Aquarius can represent some kind of electronic type things, even scientific things. It could be some big announcement that happens here in February of significance, right? And then we have Mars is going to be conjuncting Pluto at 0 degrees. Followed by, sort of mid-February, Venus conjunct. Now, we can also speak to things like maybe new kind of currencies. I mean, we know we've got different types of ways we can, deal with money or exchange money itself. But this could represent some real tangible things happening with regards to the power of our money. Maybe there will be new currencies or equivalents of currencies that come at this time. No longer the world basing everything on the US dollar. There may be some changes with regards to that happens here. But certainly this is just supporting that whole January 2021 time period where we had the Sun conjunct Pluto. We just have then these planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, conjuncting that same point, and of course conjuncting Pluto. So I see February as probably one of the more significant months with regards to actual change that is tangible that we can see. That's truly going to be supporting the people, right? Now, what may also at this time, we may have an emergence of different groups, because that's another Aquarius thing, is, our groups that we belong to, right? And the idea is that no one's elevated to a position of power within the group. When we talk about Aquarius, everyone's supposed to be similar, right? But I think in the end, we contribute, all its individuals will contribute something to the group. I did do a video on Pluto in Aquarius. I'm not going to get into too much of that right now, but check out my video. I'll put the link below. I do go into all the sun signs and ascendants, so it might be worth your while checking out what area of your life, right, you're going to have Pluto operating from a transformational standpoint for 20 years, certainly starting officially in November 2024. All right, in March, we have our first eclipse. It's going to be really towards the end of March, and it will be at 5 degrees of Libra. We'll also have Venus will be opposing Saturn, and we'll also have Mars squaring Uranus. So there could be some things come to a big conclusion here of some sort with regards to what? Well, in an individual standpoint, Libra can represent things that are diplomatic. It can represent relationships, the law, that type of thing. Seeking harmony could be something that is relevant at this point. We could see some breakups of some relationships. Certainly with the Venus conjunct Saturn, we were really looking at things have to be real with regards to anything in the love area, right? But Venus also rules our money. So there could be some new rules and regulations in March that are formed around our money systems that are put into effect. If this is in your individual chart, this certainly could mean that you got to take your money more seriously. But for others, it could just say that you take the value of yourself more seriously. Or that may be even at its best. We could see those above you, your superiors, saying that I value who you are and giving you some recognition. Now, the Mars square Uranus just means fractious energy here, that it's almost like, things popping out of the woodwork. So it could be something along that line in March where we see disagreements. And like I mentioned earlier, this is an election year. So there will be something happening in March with regards to the election as well. It just may be, as I said, things popping out, this energy popping out that says, see me, see me, see me, right? Now we look at April, we have another eclipse. And this is a more significant one from the standpoint of that it's a total eclipse. It's a new moon at 19 degrees of Aries on the 8th of April. Now, the other thing that goes with this whole eclipse is the fact that we've got a Mercury retrograde happening in Aries. And this particular Mercury retrograde does stay in the sign of Aries. So really, if you've got any sort of major placements around Aries, you're probably going to be affected in some way in April, and not necessarily in a bad way. You really have to look at your individual chart. It's a new moon eclipse, so that's positive. And it just, generally speaking, in Aries initiates things, right? When we talk about Aries in an eclipse, generally speaking, depending where this is in your chart, will indicate, what new beginning you're going to have. And when you have a total eclipse, there could be some, if you've got something around the 19-degree mark of Aries, or maybe the opposite sign of Libra, something unexpected comes in, whoosh, like this big breath of fresh air to give you some new beginning and maybe help some folks express their individual need to be on their own path, right? So that Mercury retrograde we spoke about will be at 27 degrees of Aries. We're also going to have other things happening here too. We will have on the 25th of April that Mercury will go direct at 15 degrees of Aries. So we're looking at the 15 to 27 degrees of Aries for the Mercury retrograde, right? We have Jupiter, notably, will be conjunct Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus around the 25th of April. But honestly, if you look at an ephemeris, you'll see that Jupiter and Uranus are close in orb of conjunction, not only the whole month of April, but also into May. But if we pick out a particular day where they are exactly conjunct, we're looking at around the 25th of April. So see if you've got anything at 22 degrees of Taurus. And I did a video on this too. I'll put that link below. I cover all the ascendants and sun signs too in that video. But April could also be another really significant month, really for, I would say, big breakthroughs and new starts. And again, look to, first of all, where you've got Aries, but then also look where you've got Taurus at 22 degrees with that whole Jupiter conjunct Uranus, right? Now, to have any major effects, as I always say, you really have to have something very close to these degree points that I'm discussing here, right? We also have Venus conjunct the North nodes, and I really like that. So that puts, to me, potentially an emphasis again on our money. It could put an emphasis on relationships, and it could put, especially if it aspects something in your chart, if it does, maybe you're going to get on a new destiny path with regards to relationships and or our values, right? And especially value of ourself. So there may even just be some discussions that go on with the whole effect of Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius asking us to, treat everybody as equal. This could have discussions going on with regards to how we need to do that. And as a collective, get on our destiny path here where we do value each individual. Also in April, we will have Mars conjunct Saturn. That's on the 9th of April. And then Mars also will be the same month conjunct Neptune on the 29th of April. So these are all big activations. Mars likes to activate things, right? And so Mars conjunct Saturn, first of all, it can put a delay on something where, the law or the laws or someone in power says, no, stop, you can't go forward right now. And then when we've got Mars conjunct Neptune, that can bring in elements, especially on a collective level, of fogginess, deceit, hiding things, that sort of thing. So that's around the end of April. You can have this going on. And I think we're going to probably see this playing out more in the collective, maybe with things around the election, where people are hiding things or have been hiding things, and then that all comes out into the open. Yeah, so that could actually happen too in April. So looks like a pretty packed month in April too, especially for breaking free and getting on a new path with regards to you being an individual. When we look at May, we've got a full moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. Pluto will be going retrograde, but it'll stay at around that 2-degree Aquarius mark. And it will be sextiling the sun. The sun will be trining Pluto. We have the sun going to be conjunct Uranus in May. And also in May, around the 4th week of May, we're going to have Jupiter ingress or go into Gemini for a year. And that's going to be exciting, right? And I also did a video on this, so I'll put the link below for that one as well. But really, Jupiter in Gemini is going to put a bigger spotlight on any kind of communications, essentially. Now, I guess you could say that things like AI, it's already big discussions about that. But as I dip my toe more into that too, it's like, wow, there's a lot of things surrounding it. So I think there's going to be big discussions going on in that area. There could be new breakthroughs with regards to any kind of communication systems. And I guess when we think about it, we use things like the internet a lot, right? Maybe there's going to be a new version or upgrade of some sort that's going to be significant for us. Jupiter, as its own standalone, can represent foreign people and foreign things. So there may be a lot more discussions and talk about foreign things in that month of May too, throughout the year till May 2025. When we look at June, with Jupiter now in Gemini, it will be trining Pluto in Aquarius. And so there may be some significant transformation here of some either communications that are out there regarding foreign people, foreign lands, or just some kind of major upgrade, like I said, a transformation of some sort with regards to our communication systems. We will have Venus sextile Mars, and here we're talking about, of course, the influence of both Cancer and Taurus here. So these are lovely energies. If you've got anything around that Cancer degree, this could bring in some opportunities for relationships, but it can also bring in some opportunities for friendships too, and also sort of collaborative working together. You know, we're looking at both Cancer and Taurus here as signs as part of the sextile. And so when we talk about Cancer, we're talking about certainly anything to do with nurturing. And then, of course, Taurus is all about potentially the land. It's our money systems. So that's the other thing with the Venus part especially. It could be our homeland takes on some new initiative with regards to our money systems in June. And that actually occurs around the end of June, 28th of June. And then Venus will be opposite the full moon in Capricorn on the 6th of June. So, and conjunct the sun. So I think that this month of June may bring some highlight here with regards to the money systems that we're talking about. For others, depending if you've got anything around this degree point, it may bring up some new relationship for you or end a relationship for you. It could go either way, right? You've got the mix of June of potential starting new relationships, opportunities for that, but then also at the full moon, which is really early on, that's on the 6th of June, there could be some decision of ending some relationships here too. But I think on a collective level, this is all about our money. Money and communication systems getting an upgrade of some sort in June. All right, when we look at July, we have the sun opposite Pluto on the 23rd of July. And so this is really power struggles. And I think this will translate on a collective level back to the whole election process through 2024, leading up to November, right? Just fractious energy of people in power saying, no, I'm more important, that type of thing. Now we look at the new moon in July, that's going to be at 14 degrees of Cancer. So that could be also significant for folks that have anything around that 14 degree mark, especially for Cancer rising, a whole new start for you, right? And I actually happen to have my ascendant at 14 degrees of Cancer. So keep an eye out for me, guys, for July. We will have the sun conjunct Venus on the 1st of July. I think that's really beautiful as well. We have a full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Sextile Neptune exactly. So that is also going to be significant for July as well as that full moon. And I think that's going to mark a tie-up with regards to the whole Pluto being in Capricorn too this year, 2024. So I think, again, this is going to see some endings of political either parties or governments that are the old guard that need to go. And that's also going to be up here in July as well. And we're going to have Venus opposite Pluto too on the 13th of July. This, I think, is going to be another tie-in with our money. Maybe there's going to be some major shift with regards to how those in power controlling our money are going to have to change. And maybe that's going to equate into our bank systems. I'm not a financial astrologer. There's lots of good ones out there. I'm just kind of reading how I would read astrology, generally speaking. We're going to have Mercury and Venus, though, will be trining the north nodes, and then they'll trine Chiron in July as well. And so this is, I think, pleasantries, people speaking nicely, people being charming, that type of thing. People talking about where do we need to go here with regards to our collective destiny? Where do we need to heal? Now, it could also have, if, things I'm hearing, rumblings of other type of respiratory diseases coming into play, if those transmit again on a worldwide level, this could have us talking about, in a favorable way, how to cope with that in July. But it's a trine, so I would say this is all positive energy, right? Now in August, we have a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo. And of course, we must remember that if we dial back to 2023, we had in early September that Venus retrograde that we had ongoing throughout the summer in Leo went direct at 12 degrees. So for those folks that were affected by this, the Venus retrograde at 12 degrees, this new moon is your new start for that. And certainly if you are, say, a Leo ascendant and you've got something at 12 degrees, or your ascendant rather is at 12 degrees of Leo, this is a whole new start for the whole year. But this is a new start in relationships. So there may be some folks that, went through some kind of transition in September 2023. And then in August, maybe some folks will get engaged, some folks will get married. It's a traditional month for marriage too. We're going to have a start of a Mercury retrograde in August, and it will be starting off on the 5th of August at 4 Virgo. But it's going to go direct at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So we've got two signs being covered here in August. So Virgo as well as Leo need to pay attention to maybe reviewing something, depending where you have either Virgo or Leo in your chart. You may have to go back and take a look at things, perhaps with regards to how you've been communicating, or communications given to you can represent writing as well. We have Mars conjunct Jupiter on the 14th of August. That's absolutely lovely. That's going to give, and it's in Jupiter being in Gemini. I think this could be a time when there's some big initiative with regards to maybe some scientific breakthrough of some sort, where we get news of that. And again, this may also be tied in with any of our AI type things, any kind of communication systems. With Mars putting energy into it, it could be literally new communication systems being put into some overseas countries that gives us a bigger spotlight on what's going on over there. We end the month on the 30th with Venus, lovely trine with Pluto. That's fantastic. So this can bring in some very transformational love energies here, right? But it can also bring in some big transformation with regards to your money as well, in a very positive way, right? Because it's a trine. Now in September, we've got a new moon at 11 degrees of Virgo on the 3rd, and it's going to be opposite Saturn. Remember, Saturn is in Pisces at this time. So this could just mean, really, these are people wanting to exert their authority, that's the Saturn part, with that new moon. So, it just may have some individuals here saying, I'm in the right, I know the rules and the regulations here, and trying to bring out some facts. Hopefully this is a helpful thing for us too, right? Again, we go back to things happening regarding the lead up to the actual election. Will still be going on in September too. Now, what's interesting in September for me is that we're going to have the start of eclipses in Pisces for this year, and then next year we'll have one in the opposite sign of Virgo. But this is our clue to the fact that we're going to be having a change of the north nodes, right? Because eclipses happen as a result of the involvement of the north nodes and or the south nodes. So in this case, we have the north nodes being affected because the full moon eclipse is going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. The actual nodes themselves, the transiting nodes, will not go into Pisces until 2025. That's January 20, sort of mid-month, January 2025. So it really doesn't fall into this year. But this is a little heads up for us. So it's a full moon eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces. So check to see where you've got 25 degrees of Pisces in your chart, because this could be an activation area that's really going to start in full force starting in January 2025 for about 18 months. And that's around the 18th of September, that full moon eclipse in Pisces. We have Mercury squaring Uranus this month of September. And so this is really, messages, communications go awry. I mean, if you think of it, Uranus is kind of the higher octave of Mercury here. So there could be some major breakdowns of communication systems. They maybe go down for some reason, or difficulties getting maybe major different internet type things or to internet related things working properly because there's some big challenges with regards to it. We have the sun opposite Saturn here too. And so this could actually see in September, I'm thinking maybe some facts come to life because there's a big influence of Virgo here in September that challenge some of those people that are in power. And maybe some people stepping down here that had some kind of power or did some kind of rules and regulations. I wonder if it's going to be the in the USA anyway, the Supreme Court or something like that, where somebody is challenged and they may have to step down in September. Okay, we'll have to see about that. We're also going to have the sun here squaring Jupiter. And it's really hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter. You got to work pretty hard for that. But this could bring in some exaggeration from those who already have big egos. I've not put the degree points down here, but know that, in my monthly videos, I will give you all that as well. Nicely, though, we're going to have Venus trine Jupiter on the 15th of September, and that's beautiful. These are the two benefics. This is just mark that as a really pleasant day where really good things could happen for you. When we look at Pluto, Pluto's now going to be kind of stationing and staying at that 29 degrees of Capricorn right the way through parts of November before it finally sits in to 0 degrees of Aquarius and stays there for 20 years or so. So this is also a tie-up, that 29 degree is called an anaretic degree. It really just means that it's this big culmination of energies for that final push of what? To really see the end of political power that is no longer of use to us. So there may be some big upsets here, not only in September, but right the way through the first part of November too, in that regard. In October, we are going to have a new moon at 10 degrees of Libra conjunct Mercury. And that's on the 2nd of October. Well, this is just going to bring, in my mind, if whatever fractious stuff has been happening prior to this new moon, this is going to bring in some real peace, some real harmony, and diplomacy will be working at its highest and its best. The full moon is going to be at 24 degrees of Aries, and that's going to be on the 17th of October, and it will be squaring Mars, its ruler. So generally speaking, this full moon could just bring in some challenges, especially if you've got something around that 24 degree of Aries. Challenges to what? To move forward, basically, to make changes. So it's squaring the ruler of Aries, Mars. So that's going to be some challenges around that full moon. And when we look at the sun, it will be squaring Pluto on the 22nd. And that's also going to bring, again, these ego energies into light, right? And cause some challenges for us. I think this is more from a collective standpoint. You know, people standing up saying, I'm in the right, or I've got the power. And, you know, the ego is getting out there. Now, we're going to have Mars also trine Neptune, so it's not going to be square or conjunct Neptune, it's going to be trine. So this is really bringing some hope and inspiration into October for us, right? And then we're also going to have Venus square the Saturn part of it here too. So that's going to just also bring challenges into our money systems. Maybe there's going to be some blip that happens on the stock market at that time where we've got to take accountability for where are we going here with our money. Or we're being asked to be more accountable with regards to our money, say on an individual level. For others, it can bring in some challenges with relationships. I've not got the degree points here. Again, I'll put that into my monthlies when I put my videos up for each of the individual months. So when we go into November, November 5th, 2024 is the presidential election, the formal day that happens. And so we're going to have what? We're going to have a new moon on the 1st, and that will be at 9 degrees of Scorpio. I see that as a relatively, good thing. It precedes the actual election. So let's hope that brings in some new things with regards to not only the presidential election going well, but also in regards to our money systems too. So that whole Scorpio-Taurus axis can also represent our monies here. That day we're going to have the Sun trine Saturn. That's excellent too. Maybe there's going to be agreement for those that have, that control our money systems. Maybe there's going to be some positive news of some sort. That would be awesome. What else do we have happening here? We've got the full moon at 24 degrees of Taurus, and it will be sextiling Saturn at this time as well. So I think November, apart from the probably antics around the presidential election on the 5th, I think this is going to be a money month, money systems month. Banks, the Fed in the USA, all that activity is going to be, I think, around those areas as well. We have Venus squaring Neptune, so this could be, some kind of revelation with regards to smoke and mirrors or confusion around money or money systems. We're going to have Mars also opposite Pluto at this time, and that could just be aggression. That's what I'm seeing, powerful aggression of some sort happening in November too. Now, this could also play out in the political world too, of course, right? A push and pull of power, that opposition. Venus will be opposite Jupiter, and I don't see that as a negative either, except that, again, an opposition with Jupiter can bring in, exaggeration. So again, it's in the November, the month of November, where the election is. People. I'm getting this image of people pounding their chest, and maybe some of those women are going to be women because this is Venus, right? But it can also bring in maybe some real, not necessarily challenges, but discussions. I'm thinking, even though it's not Mercury, around our money systems. And maybe this will also involve some kind of big communications that have to happen because Jupiter, remember, is in Gemini at that time. We're going to have also the Sun opposite Uranus again. And of course, this is going to bring in, unexpected events around, I think, that month. I think it's going to affect the whole month, that whole Sun opposite Uranus. And it's going to bring in unexpected events around those people that may be, I'm thinking there's some subversive stuff going on here with that whole lineup. Let me just look up to see exactly when the sun is going to be opposite Uranus in November 2024. Just give me a minute here, guys. Yeah. So we're looking at around the 17th of November 2024. So, you know, the counting the ballots and all that is certainly going to be going on around that point, but I think there's going to be some challenges, unexpected things popping out around that November. But it could also bring in something to light, some communications, because Jupiter's in Gemini regarding, again, foreign countries of some sort here, right? All right, when we go into December, we have, first of all, Pluto will be going direct. We are going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, listen up. You've got in 2024, you know, new beginnings for yourself. And especially if you have something around 9 degrees of Sagittarius, these are going to be new beginnings. But they won't come without some kind of consideration, especially at this new moon on the 2nd of December at 9 Sagittarius, because it will be squaring that whole Saturn in Pisces. And this could just mean a challenge for you to start these new beginnings that you want to get on with. Maybe you've got to just check a few boxes here and maybe check in with people in authority before you can move forward with that new start, wherever this falls in your chart, right? We have Mars going retrograde also in December, and it's going to go retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. So certainly check to see what you might have around that 6-degree mark of Leo. It won't cover the same geography as the Venus retrograde in Leo. We also are going to have Venus conjunct Pluto. Well, these are like transformational love connections could happen at this time. But this will be for a second time, right? We already talked about in February the inner planets, right, that move very quickly. We had Venus conjunct Pluto at that time too. So this is the second time here that Venus could conjunct Pluto. And if we take it to sort of like an individual level, it could just be some people decide to take whatever major connection, love connection they had at that time, and maybe it goes to the next step or the next level here. But it can also mean major transformation, like maybe the final transformation of our money systems, right? Because remember, at this time, Pluto will be in Aquarius along with Venus in Aquarius. This will not be a Capricorn thing. So some kind of, I'm thinking more, you know, money being distributed to the people. I mean, we'll have to see how that pans out, I guess. But because Aquarius is involved here, right? Some kind of people, the people in power, giving literally power to the people, but it's in connection with their money. We're going to have the full moon at 23 degrees of Gemini, and that will be squaring Neptune too here. This is just going to bring in some challenges with regards to any kind of communications. So if you've got something at 23 degrees of Gemini, you know, note that the heads up here is there's going to be some confusion, and more than likely that confusion is going to be around communication systems, whether that's you talking, even your thinking, right, your thoughts, or writing projects of some sort too. The new moon is going to be at 9 degrees of Capricorn on the 30th, and Venus will be squaring Uranus. So Venus square Uranus around that time of the new moon, again, I think is going to go back to this whole money type thing where there may be another shakeup in money systems. And this could be a worldwide thing that could actually be happening here, right? The new moon at 9 degrees of Capricorn just has that one thing. But certainly for those folks that do have something, say at 9 degrees, like your ascendant, this could bring in a whole new start for you. If you do have your own sun or moon around that 9 degrees, this could set up some new start for you for the next year. All right, that kind of wraps up my take for each of the months Again, it's at a really high level. I know many of my viewers will know more than me and might want to put some comments in there with regards to maybe something I might have missed. But know that I will get into more detail, including degrees and dates, when I do my actual videos for each of those months. So next I'm going to go on to look at either your sun sign and or your ascendant. Whatever resonates with you, might be a good idea to maybe listen to both or watch both. And I just wanted to say a big thank you and a hello to all my Spotify and audio listeners. Man, that whole system that I've got going is just taking off due to people really listening to all my podcasts. So I want to thank my listeners for that too. All right, let's delve into the ascendants and or your sun signs next. All right, so let's go into the individual signs and or sun signs. As usual, you should go with whatever actually resonates with you, right? I would suggest you actually listen or watch both your ascendant first to see what area of life what I'm talking about is going to affect you, and then do your sun sign, because the sun is the most important thing in your chart, right? Just to get some more information. All right, so for Aries. So Aries, you've got a lot happening towards the beginning of the year. And I would say notably, the month of April could be very significant for you. So two things are happening for you, Aries, in April. You've got a Mercury retrograde happening, and it happens in all of Aries. It does not go in and out of any other sign. You've got a total new moon eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries. So these are potentially really new beginnings for all Aries. But in particular, if you've got something, say, around that 19 degree mark, so we're looking at really 18, 19, 20 degrees of Aries, there could be some significant new starts for you. Now, we do have that other big event going on around the 25th or so of April, and that's going to be Jupiter conjunct Uranus, but that is going to be in Taurus. So what this can bring in for you, Aries, of course, is you could have a whole new source of income come in for you. You may have to pay attention to your value. You may get some big opportunities to earn more money because there's institutions or people who are valuing you more and want to pay you the money for it. You could also have things like you working on potentially increasing the value of who you are in whatever way you feel you want to play that out in your life right now. But we have the first eclipse in 2024 will be in your opposite sign, and that's going to be a full moon at 5 degrees of Libra, and it will be opposite your sign. So this, we talk about your 7th house. So if you do have something around that 5 degree mark of Libra or the opposite sign, you will probably be affected by this. If we just look at the house that this will be in your 7th house. So this could be more in line with what's happening to your partner. There could be some ending, culmination, a big spotlight put on something with regards to what your partner might be involved in. And this literally could translate out into, your partnership with your partner, right? Because Libra does represent partnerships to some extent, but it really asks us to put into effect a balance and harmony. So there may be an opportunity here at this full moon where there is a spotlight put on anything to do with your partnerships. Generally speaking, this could be marriage partnerships, but it could be business partnerships, and of course it could be clients too, and or any other. Libra can also represent the law, so there may be something to do with legal type stuff, diplomacy, with regards to dealing, say, with other people, not necessarily your marriage partner. But there could be for some Aries, this could be a time period where you may decide to end a relationship, like a marriage, or a partnership, a business partnership of some sort. I've mentioned already that we have that new moon eclipse, that 19 of Aries on the 8th of April. And what's interesting, to support that eclipse in Aries, you have your ruler, which is Mars, is going to be in Aries all of May to the first week of June. So it's almost like, whatever happens, Aries, in generally speaking, end of March eclipse into April eclipse and the Mercury retrograde, look to, I would say, you being able to take some action in whatever area of your life that you're starting, for instance, new as a result of the eclipse. Is really going to be June, is going to be that time when you can actually move forward with whatever you want. So don't be stymied if in April you can't move as fast as you want, you're not getting what you want. Just do some planning, especially with the Mercury retrograde. I always say that that's the best way to use a Mercury retrograde. Plan for whatever it is, wherever this Mercury retrograde in Aries is in your chart. Do some planning for that area of your life with the view that May is going to be a time period where you can actually get action to move forward. Venus is going to be in Aries all of April too. And so that April time period could bring in money for you. It could bring in new love for you. Venus takes the edge off things. So there may be also some benefits that come in for some Aries as well as a result of the effect of Venus. On top of what? On top of the Mercury retrograde in Aries, on top of your big eclipse in Aries. We also have, on the 22nd of March, we have the Sun at 1 degree of Aries is going to be sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. So that's kind of beautiful transformational energy to express your individual side of yourself, to maybe transform something around you that helps you get on your individual path or helps you express yourself. Generally speaking, this could be a day when, on the 22nd of March, where you are able to express yourself individually in a favorable way to those people in power. Okay, you have a new moon eclipse. So we're wrapping up your energy here pretty soon with regards to eclipses happening in Aries and Libra. But you do have another new moon eclipse that's going to be in Libra this time at 10 degrees of Libra on the 2nd of October. And at that time, the Sun will be conjuncting the North Node. This could also be a time of new starts for you. Now, in particular, with the Libra influence here, this could be a new start in a relationship, right? That actually leads to a destiny path for you being activated. So see if you've got anything around the 10 degree mark of Libra, because that new moon eclipse could be very, very favorable for you personally getting on some new destiny or activating something on your destiny path. The full moon is going to be at 24 degrees of Aries on the 17th of October. And so this may bring some culmination for you, Aries. Whatever you started new or wanted to do new in April at that new moon eclipse, this is going to see maybe the culmination of whatever efforts that you put in or activated at that time, and through May as well, right, which we already spoke about. So this is a big culmination time period for you around the 17th of October. So if there's any projects that you're doing, I would say aim towards that 17th of October as a wrap-up full moon to help you. Maybe it's some kind of new individual path that you've taken that you're now on course for, and it's set in place, right? And you see the end of having to work so hard on something that you say, okay, now I'm on my path. All right. Take care, Aries. All right, so for Taurus. So Taurus, you're kind of coming out of, all the maelstrom that you've had With regards to, the north nodes being in your sign, I mean, you still have to, you're going to have Uranus in there still for a few more years. But Jupiter is going to be getting out of your sign as well, activating a lot of things or increasing a lot of things in your sign too. And of course, for you, the biggest thing, I think, of course, is the Jupiter conjunct Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus. But I would say, Taurus, that whole month of April, as well as into May, on and off, you're going to have a fairly close orb of both Jupiter and Uranus conjunct. So what can this bring in for you? Well, having Jupiter conjunct Uranus in your first house, say, because we're talking about this being at 22 degrees, some unexpected turnaround happens with regards to potentially your future. Other Taurians may actually unexpectedly get an opportunity to travel overseas or work overseas or move overseas, that type of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty significant conjunction. But as I say, you really have to have something around that 22-degree mark of Taurus to have something significant happen to you. And I mean, at its highest, this could bring enlightenment, right? And enlightenment with regards to Jupiter-type things. And it could be something as simple as we get this enlightenment of, where we are in this world, in relation to the world. We get that enlightenment of really understanding where we are, So that's at a high level that this could operate at. But certainly Jupiter brings in benefits. So unexpected benefits potentially coming to some Taurians in April 2024. Now, we're also going to have Pluto at, 28, 29 degrees on and off throughout 2024, sextiling Uranus. Now, Uranus is going to be at the 26, 27 degree mark, but I really felt that this was in orb, especially around, say, the September, October time period. And this is favorable. This is a trine. This is bringing opportunities, right? And we're looking at opportunities probably with regards to the 10th house. If we use, the whole house system, and we have actually this Taurus being your ascendant, right? So there could be for some, especially from Taurians that have been waiting for maybe an opportunity to break out of a career that they don't want to do and get in a new one. Maybe September, October is going to bring you that opportunity. And it will be the end of those opportunities, right? Because we're going to have, certainly, although Uranus will still stay in Taurus, that whole Pluto is coming out of Capricorn in November. What else have we got happening here? Well, Jupiter's going to stay in Taurus till around that third week or so of May. So you're still going to have that influence almost, at least the first 4 or 5 months. You're going to have still Jupiter influencing you in a positive way, right? And let me just look up to see the degree points. I'll see where Jupiter in Taurus is going to be in January. All right, so that's going to be, around the 5-degree mark in January 2024. So really, I mean, from 5 degrees to 29, 30 degrees in towards the end of May 2024, all those degree points will be activated by this whole Jupiter still in Taurus, right? So generally speaking, I would say most Taurians are going to have some very pleasant things happen to them throughout the course of January through May 2024. And certainly if you need to attract in things, that's very Venus, right? That could be a big potential for you too. But Jupiter likes to bring benefits for you. Jupiter can bring in, though, also some kind of foreign influence, the law. For those that want to do, say, higher education, that opportunity may turn out for you. Just for those that want to do travel, maybe April will be a seminal month where you take off and you get this unexpected opportunity to take this fabulous trip. Feel free to post in the comments below. Now, you will have your new moon on the 8th of May at 18 degrees of Taurus. And Uranus won't be doing anything specifically or exactly at that time, but you do have Venus for most of the month of May in Taurus, and that's very positive. So let's look at that. We still have Jupiter for most of May in Taurus, and now we've got on top of that the lesser benefic, and that's Venus, also in Taurus. So I guess for those folks that want to, I'd say, attract in some kind of maybe change in their life and bring it in a positive way, but potentially with money. Venus can represent money and or love for that matter too, right? I mean, Venus rules Taurus. So May could also be another month for some Taurians to really bring in benefits, to put some sweetness in their life, to maybe develop a new love in their life, that sort of thing. Look towards the new moon on May 8th for that to actually happen, especially if you've got something, say, around the 18-degree mark of Taurus. And when we look at Pluto itself, Pluto will be squaring your sign. Now, it's only going to be at the early degrees. So in 2024, it only gets up to 2 degrees of Aquarius. But then, of course, the following year, it will be fully entrenched into Aquarius. So I would say that you may get some kind of heads up in 2024, maybe even at that new moon in May, with the influence of Pluto as well, that you may get some kind of indication of maybe you've got to work at. It's not going to be all straightforward for you to change your career. Pluto will be squaring your 10th house. So I would say that, again, this can go back to planning. How do I want to plan the evolution and transformation of my career? Because Pluto can help you do that, even though there's a square here. Really, it just says that there could be some challenges. Are there some tests that you have to go through? Are there some changes that you've got to make with regards to getting additional qualifications? And I mean, I'm making this video here in 2023. So for those listening to that in that time period, you know, really look maybe now at the end of 2023, knowing you want to make changes in your career. Pluto can help you with that. It just means you've got to put effort into it. Look at the challenges, think outside the box, and have some of your own ideas that you could implement and plan for that will assist you in those changes. It's not all bad with squares. All right, and as I mentioned, you certainly have Uranus still in your sign for the next couple years. It looks like I've got it down here that it'll be around 26, 27 degrees of Taurus. So for those Taurians that don't have anything, say, around this 26, 27 degree mark, you won't have Uranus necessarily affecting you directly, bringing unexpected change. But for those folks, especially those folks, those Taurians that have something around the 26, 27 degree of Taurus, where Uranus will be in 2024, you know, if you need to break free of something or let go of something, this could be the year that you get the opportunity to do that. And especially with that lovely trine with Pluto in the remnants of the last degrees of Capricorn. And as I said, that's sort of September, October time period. Look to some potential real assistance to make the change, to make that break. Take care, Taurus. All right, Gemini. Well, the positive news for you in 2024 is that Jupiter will go into Gemini around that 3rd, 4th week of May. And so for a whole year, you're going to entertain Jupiter in your sign. Jupiter will be bringing you opportunities for benefits, opportunities to expand your vision of your world, and maybe giving you maybe some new ways of communicating. For some Geminis, maybe even going overseas for some reason, right? Or travel overseas as well as locally. So when we look at Jupiter itself, we really refer to usually foreign places and foreign things, travel. But then when we look at Gemini, we're looking at communications and short-term travel. So both those things could be happening starting towards the end of May for a whole year. So we're going to have, let's see here, we're going to have Mercury as well as Venus is going to be also in Gemini in May. So for you, Gemini, make May, especially like the latter part of May into a little bit of maybe June as well, you're going to have some potential to do some really favorable communications. And for those folks that say are writers, or you do writing as part of maybe your job or your day-to-day existence, and also then we're also going to have the sun there too. Yeah, so this could be a really important time period for you, the latter half of May, I would say, for some kind of awesome money-making ventures potentially, especially if it's associated with anything to do with communication, presenting, writing, that type of thing. And also short-term travel, that could be part of it. Even siblings and neighbors could come into the mix here to favorably assist you in some way, right? Now, that whole, at the beginning of January this year, that whole Mercury going from retrograde to direct on the 1st of January is in your opposite sign of Sagittarius. So certainly if you have anything at 22 Sagittarius, or maybe in your sign of Gemini at 22 degrees of Gemini, that whole Mercury retrograde could also, especially going direct, this could bring in January, once that whole Mercury comes out of shadow, if you've got something around that 22 degree mark of Sagittarius and or Gemini, this could bring in a lovely a benefit in terms of communications moving forward here in a very favorable way. And especially for those folks, say, that are dealing with foreign people, foreign things, where there's been maybe a hang up in 2023, you could see Gemini more activity moving forward with regards to favorable communications throughout January as Mercury going direct comes out of shadow. We will have a Mercury retrograde in Aries as well, and that's going to be, it'll stay in Aries the whole of April, and that's going to be sextiling your sign, and it will involve the 11th house. So for some Geminis, this could bring in an opportunity to collaborate with maybe old friends, to reconnect with groups that you used to belong to. But generally, I saw this as a new start with regards to friendships, and friends maybe being in contact with you during that whole time period of April 2024, during the Mercury retrograde. Because Mercury rules your chart, all the Mercury retrogrades potentially could affect you. So the other Mercury retrograde we have happening is going to be in Virgo, and then go back into Leo as well. And that squares your sign and your 4th house. So that there could be something up there where that Mercury retrograde, now that's going to be in August time period. There's just some challenges with regards to maybe the home, your mother or your family that you have to overcome. And maybe it's a communication type thing, because we're talking about you, Gemini, and Gemini rules all sorts of communications. And it could have you just going back and say, let's look at the facts here. It starts off in Virgo. You going back and say, let's look at the facts and talk about them. And you come to some agreement with regards to what the facts really are, and communicate those over that time period in August, when we have the Mercury retrograde in both those signs. Your new moon, Gemini, is at 16 degrees of Gemini, and it will be on the 6th of June, 2024. So if you do have something around that 16 degree mark, this could mark a year of new beginnings for you for the whole year. The other Mercury retrograde, interestingly enough, is also going to be at that 22 degree mark of Sagittarius, and that'll be in November. So we remember that on the 1st of Jan 2024, we spoke about Mercury going direct, right, at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. Well, now in November, Mercury goes retrograde again at 22 degrees, though. So it's the retrograde degree point. This could also have potentially you redoing some writing or communications that maybe you saw going ahead or initiated, say, in January. You have to maybe go back over some of your work or back over some of your communications during now this Mercury retrograde in November at 22 degrees Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is in your opposite sign and sort of represents the 7th house. So this could highlight relationships. This could highlight business partnerships or marriage partnerships. Maybe for some reason they come into focus here for you. For some reason. Now, both Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces, and Pisces squares your sign, and it involves the 10th house. So I would say right the way through 2024, there's a potential for either both of these planets, they're at different degrees, or one of these planets forming a square to your 10th house. And the 10th house, of course, is your career, your long-term goals. It's your social standing and your reputation. So it says to me that, you may have some challenges with regards to, people who know the rules and regulations, where you're going to have to think outside the box, especially with regards to communications, Gemini. Make sure you go over all your communications with a fine-tooth comb, that there's no room for confusion and no room for misrepresentation with this square happening, right? But as I said, as long as you're putting effort into your career, just knows you may have some challenges where maybe you've got to take extra courses or learn maybe managerial skills or something like that. And you may not find it easy to do, but you come out triumphant in the end. Now, nicely, this whole Pluto going into Aquarius, that trines your sign. So certainly if you, Gemini, have anything, say, between the 0 degrees to 2 degrees of Gemini, that whole Pluto in 2024 at different time points is going to be trining your sign. And we're talking about here your 9th house being affected. And the 9th house is what? It's higher education. So it could have you being, if you've got these degree points activated, it could have you maybe finishing up some higher education at this time favorably and transforming your life. It's anything foreign, it's travel, it's the law. All those, my dear Gemini, are going to be favorably aspected for you. And remember, Pluto is like a 250 or so year transit. So not everybody is going to be getting this, but you have this in a favorable position. So Pluto is going to be pulsating positive transformational energy for all those areas of the 9th house that I just spoke about. It starts this year in 2024 between 0 and 2 degrees, but it will go on in 2025, march on for 20 years to continue to transform. So all Geminis at some point will have some trine happening with regards to the association of the 9th house. Just had to find out where you're at that degree. This year, it's only 0 to 2 degrees. All right. Take care of yourself, Gemini. So Cancer. Cancer, you got a few things happening in this year. One thing that I really liked was this trine that is happening with both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Wow, you're going to have this fantastic energy of the trine affecting your 9th house, basically the whole year, depending where, you've got your own either ascendant or sun, moon, or conglomeration of planets. Generally speaking, we're talking about the 9th house. And so this is bringing in positive energy to put structure in place with regards to if you're doing, say, an advanced degree, that you get the help maybe from supervisors above you, a mentor, to help you put things together for yourself in a positive way. It can bring in true inspiration for you too, right? And the 9th house, from a kind of esoterical sense, is meaning in life. So, hey, there's going to be some Cancers out there that 2024 is going to represent some real positive meaning in life and inspiration. You could even be taking some trip of a lifetime that is just totally inspiring for you, and especially if it's associated with water. That's Neptune, right? We're talking about the effect of Neptune there. Yeah. And maybe even visiting ancient sites, right? I'm thinking Saturn being the old influence here, together with Neptune trine you. All right, that's beautiful. You have your new moon Cancer at 14 degrees of Cancer, and that'll be around the 3rd, 4th of July 2024. So again, if you've got something, say, around that 14 degree of Cancer, this could have some new start for you that will last the whole year. And I certainly do. My ascendant is at 14 degrees of Cancer. So I guess keep an eye on me, see what happens to me. And I'll certainly keep, all my viewers and subscribers up to date on if anything new that might happen for me, say, in July around that new moon. But certainly for the U.S., and I guess Canada too, because Canada has their Canada Day on the 1st of July, and then of course in the U.S. we have it on the 4th of July. So for those folks in those countries, this may just be a lovely new start to appreciate your homeland, right? Because that, of course, is very much represented by Cancer. Venus is going to be in Cancer, a lot of June. Certainly starting on the 18th or so. But that's going to be fabulous too. So we're looking just prior to that new moon happening on the 3rd, 4th of July, starting on the 18th of June, right the way through the 11th of July, you're going to have Venus in your sign Cancer. Well, what's that going to bring you? Well, from a basic standpoint, it should be bringing in some positive benefit with regards to you nurturing yourself. Cancers are known for nurturing everybody else, but forgetting to nurture themselves. So I would say if you're looking for some time period in 2024 where you can actually say, I'm going to start taking care of me and nurturing myself, I would say between the 18th of June and the 11th of July are ideal opportunities, with the new moon on the 3rd, 4th of July being exceptional. Maybe for some Cancers, they're going to throw their first big 4th of July party, or if you're in Canada, the 1st of July Canada Day party. That actually would be an awesome thing to do. I'm just thinking more about the influence of Cancer here and nurturing, right? And doing that in our homeland. You will have in September, all of September, you'll have Mars in Cancer. So September is going to be a month, Cancer, for you to initiate things that you want to move forward with, whatever that is. So all Cancer ascendants will be affected by Mars in Cancer in September. So there's going to be some kind of activation at some point for all Cancers in September to move forward with something, especially if we look at the ascendants, right? Okay, so when we look at some of the eclipses here, which are going to be in Libra especially, but the one also in Aries. So both Libra and Aries square your sign Cancer, so it's kind of important to look at the areas of your life that you may have challenges in. And the first one's going to be towards the end of March, when we have that full moon happening at 5 Libra, and it will be squaring your 4th house. Now, again, you have to have something around the 5 degrees of Libra to have some sort of significant or important event or influence happen for you. Otherwise, it can go by without much notice. So the 4th house could have some challenges. So that's literally your home. It could be your childhood home too. It can be your mother and your family, right? So there may be, for some Cancers, some kind of challenge and maybe even some difficulties with regards to either maybe buying a home, selling a home, or maybe your family or your mother that you have to address sometime around that eclipse towards the end of March this year. Now, it's going to be followed by a new moon eclipse that's going to happen at 19 degrees of Aries, which will also be square your sign, but now it's going to be the 10th house. So this is just some challenges for you to maybe want to start or initiate some new things in your career or in your social standing or reputation, where you've got to overcome some obstacles here to do it. This is a pretty powerful eclipse. This eclipse that's happening at 19 degrees Aries, it's a total eclipse, but it is a new start. So it says to me that for sure you can do this new start. Just follow whatever rules and regulations you have to do to make this new start in the 10th. and accept the fact that you might have to work hard and with others to get this change happening with regards to your career or your long-term goals. Now, the 2nd of October is the other eclipse that we have happening, and that's going to be at 10 degrees of Libra, and that's also in your 4th house. So you've got this year 2 time points, March and October, where your 4th house is going to be affected by squares and challenges. And again, this could literally pan out to be your home itself, where things have to be addressed and it's a bit of a hassle. You know, maybe you've got to continue to renovate your home and you just wish it would get over with, but it drags through right through October at this eclipse. And maybe at that eclipse on the 2nd of October, you put that final nail in the wood or the wall and say, okay, finally, I can see the end of all this renovation that I've been doing in my home that I thought was going to be over with earlier than this. That could come up for you too, right? We have that first eclipse in Pisces, that 25-degree Pisces, that's going to happen on the 18th of September. And that's the first eclipse that's going to be starting more so next year and the following year after that. But this is our heads up here, right? So again, you'd have to have something around that 25-degree mark of Pisces to have any effect. But it does form a beautiful trine because both Pisces and you, Cancer, are from the same element, which is water. So this could bring in something fabulous for you, maybe in your 9th house, which, you know, the 9th house is all about foreign things, taking a travel trip. I'm thinking that, you know, even though it's a full moon, this could either have, for some Cancers, ending maybe a trip, maybe by water or around water, that was truly inspirational. And truly maybe spiritual even as well. Maybe there'll be some folks that'll go to some ashrams maybe in India and really get this fabulous experience that transforms, you know, maybe their inner consciousness for the better. But I think this could be also the ending of a trip. There could be, or the ending of planning for a trip too, in this 18th of September eclipse time period. And for others, it may be just the ending of, if you're in advanced education, it could have that, you seeing that as a wrap-up. You know, it's done and dusted. So there are some really positive things here for you in this year, Cancer, as well. All right, so Cancer, I wanted to mention that, you know, that significant conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus that will be at 22 degrees of Taurus sextiles your sign. Right? And it sextiles your 11th house. So it could be, for some Cancers in April, friends that you have, groups that you belong to, provide you with some awesome, unexpected opportunities. So, hey, I'm making this in December 2023. Maybe some Cancers, you should consider what groups you belong to, but maybe more importantly, what groups you don't belong to, and perhaps reach out to join some groups so that in April, around April 25th, when we have that conjunction, that whatever unexpected thing happens to you, that it brings in this benefit, right? And it could, like I say, come through groups or friends. But the other thing that the 11th house represents, well, 2 things. It's your hopes and wishes. So for some very lucky Cancers, you are going to have a hope, wish, or dream come true in April of 2024. For others that have their own business, you could have some real lucky opportunity that's unexpected come your way with regards to 11th house types energies, which could be internet, YouTube, any social platform like that. There could be some lucky break. Maybe somebody comes to you that's a teacher, that's Jupiter, unexpectedly and says, hey, we want you to teach, Cancer, and use the internet or YouTube to do it. So stay open to all that, Cancer. There could be some exciting things ahead for you around that April month of 2024. In May, with that Mars in Aries, it will be squaring also your 10th house. So May may be a little contentious for you, where you feel you're sorting out problems all the time. I always say try to take that 10,000-foot view that those problems or that problem is just there right now. But part of the big picture doesn't mean it's going to make the whole of your career a disaster or unpleasant for you. It's just part of putting a piece of that puzzle in place where you're going to be required to put effort into something, especially with that Mars part of it. There may also be a delay for some Cancers. Say you want to start a new career, and for some reason there's a delay of you initiating that. It doesn't mean it won't happen. But look to May for maybe some frustrating delays that you want to move forward with. And just work with those in power with your career to move forward, because it will happen, right? It will definitely happen. I mean, that whole July time period is fabulous for you because you've got Venus towards the end of June into July, along with that new moon, right? Okay. That Pluto, once it fully goes into Aquarius, so right now, Pluto will only be in 2024 between 0 and 2 degrees. And then, of course, 2025, it will be fully entrenched in Aquarius for 20 years. But it's in your 8th house. Now, the beneficial part of Pluto being in the 8th house, Cancer, is that Pluto rules the 8th house. So I think this is a really positive influence for you, Cancer, to transform all those 8th house things. Hey, at its best, it could totally transform your money, where you come into some big money here. An investment pays off big for you. Or that you start investing. That's 8th house is shared resources, investments, 401ks, all that type of thing that pay off long term for you, right? It's also those in power that maybe have your credit cards and your taxes and they say pay up here. So it's not a double-edged sword. It just means pay attention to your money that are shared resources, that are credit cards, that are mortgages, pensions, all that type of thing are going to be highlighted starting this year in 2024. If it was me, I would say, all right, I need to pay attention to that area of my life. That area of my life is going to be transformed over many years. Why don't I start seeing what needs to be corrected here? And hey, if it's something, and it's not simple to pay off sometimes your credit cards, but if it is something like that, just put some effort in place here to work with those in power to get it paid off. Ditto goes with, say, taxes as well. Just do double check that you're paying your taxes and that sort of thing. Because Pluto can represent people in power coming back and saying, pay the piper here, right? So just take care to do your part of that and you should be fine. But this can also be a total transformation of your psychological self. For other Cancers, this could be a major deep sexual relationship that totally transforms who you are. Yeah. Something to look forward to, Cancer. Take care of yourself, Cancer. All right, for Leo. Well, Leo, you've got a new moon that I picked out for you that's happening on the 4th of August at 12 degrees of Leo. And what I liked about it was that last year in 2023, the beginning of September, we had that whole Venus retrograde go direct at 12 degrees. So to me, this is conjuncting that point for you and bringing a whole sense of newness. So there may be some Leos that marry at this time, get engaged at this time. A child comes into view for you as well, because that's very Leo-like too. For others, it might be a great time to start a new business, right? For still others, maybe some games of chance will, pan out for you in some way. I'm just taking a look here. Yeah. So keep me posted on that. I want to hear from some of those Leos when this time period comes up around the 4th of August at that new moon. But if you do have anything around that 12 degree mark of Leo, this could start a whole new year for you, right? At that 4th of August new moon time period. All right, I'm just looking at some other things here. Right. So when we look at that significant conjunction with Jupiter conjuncting Uranus, we have that happening in whole house signs anyway, in the 10th house. And so that actual conjunction will actually take place around the 25th of April time period. So there may be some unexpected shakeup with regards to your career, your long-term goals, your social standing, or your reputation. Something may happen at that time. And I'm thinking it could be something like one of your bosses or managers or directors exits the scene unexpectedly, and you might have to step in. And it might be associated later on with the new moon happening, right? The actual event happens towards the end of August. Or you're given an opportunity, someone approaches you, maybe a foreign connection of some sort, unexpectedly, and says, we'd like to start exploring the possibility of you working with our company. That could also happen at that conjunction right in April time period. But you'll have a Mercury retrograde in April too, that will be trining your sign. So whatever communications either take a backward spin, or you have to relook at some maybe writing that you did or communications that you did. It's going to be positive for you, and it's going to benefit you because it actually is a trine, right? And certainly that full moon or new moon eclipse rather, that's going to be happening in Aries at 19 degrees around the 8th of April could also be very beneficial for you, right? Because it forms a trine. Yeah, just seeing here. Yeah, so it forms a trine and it involves your 9th house. And we actually have an involvement here of the Sun. We have Mercury and we have Venus all in Aries at that time, and it'll be trining your 9th house. So this is forming favorable energies with anybody that you deal with that's a foreign person or foreign place. If you are in higher education, this could be some positive development for you, positive communications, and anything to do with sort of, if we think about legal things, could also be represented here too, right? That's very much a 9th house area. But it could be just that you're communicating about taking this fabulous trip, or you communicate with others about this wonderful trip that you've gone on. And that's the 9th house involvement, right? But that's all kind of around that time period in April, this positive trine that's going to be happening and beaming to your 9th house. The previous full moon eclipse, it's at 5 Libra. That'll be sextiling your sign in March, towards the end of March, and it'll be sextiling your 3rd house. So this brings in opportunities for communications. It brings in opportunities for short distance travels. It brings in opportunities to maybe do some writing, some serious writing of some sort, especially if it applies to anything to do with diplomacy or the law, that type of thing too, right? Yeah, I mean, that whole eclipse that's happening on the 25th of April at 19 Aries, if you've got something, Leo, around the 19, like 18 to say 20, 21 degree mark of Leo, and or Aries for that matter, this could be a whole new start for you. Some Leos may actually be making the decision to move overseas, that type of thing. That's a total eclipse, new moon, new start. It's you initiating new things. The 9th house is also meaning in life. So for those, more developed Leos, this could have you identifying in April some whole new thing that comes into your life that gives you meaning. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Yeah, so you also have a retrograde involvement, right? So in August, we have Mercury going retrograde. Starts off in Virgo, but it does go direct again around the 21 degree mark of Leo. So say you've got your ascendant or something like that around 21 degrees of Leo. When that Mercury goes direct, whatever confusion you had, whether it's to do with communications, writing, presenting, even short travel around, maybe even your siblings or neighbors, that should be gradually cleared up towards the end of August when Mercury conjunct potentially your ascendant at 21 degrees or your sun. Things start to get cleared up, right? Yeah, I mean, the other significant thing that's happening towards the end of the year is you're going to have a Mars go retrograde in Leo, and it starts. It actually starts in, well, it's the November, December time period. We have Mars in Leo, but it's not till the 6th of December that Mars itself in Leo goes retrograde at 6 degrees. And so I would say look to anything that you might have, say, around that 6-degree mark, because the end of December could mark a time period where, let's just say it's your ascendant. Mars going retrograde means energy is going to be stopped in terms of whatever initiative you want to take and move forward with. And Mars retrograde stays for quite some time. I'll be covering that more in my 2025 video. But know that it starts officially in December, the retrograde itself at 6 Leo. So if anything around that mark, see what house it falls in. If it's your ascendant, it means some delay is going to happen. And there may be frustrations. With Mars, you can have some frustrations associated with that too. But with Mars being in Leo, not retrograde in November, I would say if there is a big project that you have to do or some initiative that you know you're going to have to do, I would not wait till December when Mars does go retrograde to do it. So maybe institute those changes or do what you can to put something moving forward in November, knowing that there's going to be some kind of slowdown potentially if you're affected by these degrees in the December time period. Now for you, Pluto is going to be in your 7th house of partnerships, whether that's business partnerships, marriage partnerships, clients, and any other, right? And typically we talk about others that we sign contracts with, but it's other people, right? And so that's the area of life that you're going to, have affected. This year in 2024, you may get a heads up on it with regards to some transformational energy with regards to partnerships. So for some folks, you may get married and enter into this totally transformational time period that's going to last for at least 20 years, where all your marriage transforms you. For other folks, it could be you enter into a business partnership that totally transforms you and maybe whoever you're making this business partnership with. For others, it might be clients, especially if your business involves dealing with clients. Clients can help transform you in a very positive way here. You could also literally be dealing with people in power as part of your client base. That could also be up here as well. Okay, let me just take one last look here. Yeah. You do have a new moon eclipse that's happening at 10 degrees of Libra, and that's going to be on the 2nd of October. That sextiles your sign, Leo, in a very positive way, and it affects your 3rd house. So I see this, let's just say October could be a wonderful month where you get lots of opportunities to speak, to write, to present in a very positive way. And with that whole Leo thing, I see some Leos literally being on a stage somewhere, maybe, presenting a play of some sort. For others, it might be in a business situation. But that's a whole new start in that area. It could involve anything Libra too. So this could involve diplomacy, harmony, literally relationships of some sort. That type of thing, and can actually translate into diplomatic relations, could go very well in October at that new moon's kicking off the month of October. All right, Leo, take care of yourself. All right, so Virgo. So Virgo, we've got both Saturn and Neptune in your opposite sign of Pisces. So it's forming an opposition with you. This could have, for some, depending what the degrees are, and the degrees are different for both Saturn and Neptune. Neptune is getting towards the end, around that 29-degree mark of a Pisces, and there's 30 degrees in every sign. So Neptune's making its way out of an opposition with you, but Saturn will still be there for over a year. And so this is just really you. I would say, Virgo already pays attention to details, but Saturn in opposition may have, your superior saying, pay attention to those details, right? We want you to get those right. We want you to put structure around something here. Or you may be required to put structure around your life from your superiors. That may come into view. For still others, some Virgos may get involved in much more spiritual things and work with someone who has experience in that area of life, and it'll be of benefit to them. Right? If we combine the best energies here of both Saturn in Pisces and then Neptune in Pisces opposing your sign. But do take care of all the details, Virgo, especially this year of 2024. Look at all the fine print, any contracts, actually anything that you are putting together that involves some kind of structure of some sort, right? And because you're all about collecting facts and important information, I would say anything around important information in your life, make sure you're paying attention to do a double check of everything. And I'm getting this intuition of also double check with those like your superiors. Let's say you're putting together some, proposal of some sort. Check in with those above you to make sure that you've not missed anything. Just getting that as an intuition here. Now, you are going to have a Mercury retrograde start in your sign, but it's going to end up going direct in Leo. So look to see if you've got anything, say, around 4 degrees of Virgo, because that is where Mercury will go retrograde on the 5th of August. And then it's going to go direct in Leo around the 21 degree of Leo. So just look to, August potentially being a time when you have to review some of the things that you've been putting together. Maybe it's a report that you've put together, and August is the time period where you figure out all the important details and get your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Great way to use it. Great way to use it for planning things too that are important, like maybe doing your Gantt chart or producing a plan, literally a plan of what you need to do in terms of maybe writing a report. Yeah, notably, you're going to have that full moon in Pisces at 25 degrees. It's an eclipse, and that's going to be in September. That's going to be opposite your sign too. So when we look at opposite your sign, of course, that's your 7th house. So there may be something significant that is brought to light with regards to a partner. This could be a business partnership, a marriage partnership. It could even be your clients. There'll be some big illumination that's going to happen in September around that eclipse. And certainly if you, say, have your birthday in that month, and there will be Virgos that will, just generally speaking, there could be something up with a partner here that comes to light. And of course, this eclipse kind of gives us a heads up with regards to those nodes, the transiting nodes in January 2025 that'll be going into Pisces. So pay attention to what comes up around this time for you, Virgo, because it'll probably lead into something starting the next year, 2025, for about 18 months. Now, because Mercury rules your sign, we should discuss all the Mercury retrogrades, right? And so there is a Mercury retrograde in April that actually happens in Aries, and it's going to be in your 8th house. So what does that say? That says you're probably going to be reviewing what? Shared resources, bank accounts, taxes, credit cards, any investments that you might have. You could be just having a careful, getting out the fine print and really reading everything carefully and making sure that everything looks right here for yourself. It could be a time too for some folks that maybe you want to increase your 401k contribution, and you look carefully at how can I initiate that at that Mercury retrograde in Aries throughout that April time period, right? Now, the first Mercury direct, so it's not a retrograde at this point, but the Mercury direct at the 1st of Jan 2024 is going to be square your sign. It's at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's Mercury now going direct. It squares your 4th house. And the interesting thing to note, Virgo, is that you're actually going to have another opportunity to have that degree of 22 Sagittarius to square you. And that's going to happen in the November time period, when that degree of 22 degrees of Sagittarius is the degree that Mercury goes retrograde towards the end of 2024. So that degree point is going to be important for you with regards to your 4th house and potentially challenges happening there for you. 4th house is literally your house, the house you were born in. It can also be that. It can be your family, your mother, your habits. All these things may come under some kind of challenge for you. It doesn't mean it's going to be negative. Typically I say, well, maybe you want to buy a house, and it's just not going to be straightforward for you. Maybe that house that you want to buy is going to require you to meet certain obligations in order to qualify for it. Or again, selling your house as well, right? Okay, so the other time period that I spoke about was that Mercury going retrograde by 22 degrees for a second time in that November-December time period, right? So for some reason, at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, some Virgos, it's got to be around that 22 degree mark, right, Sagittarius, are going to have some challenges with regarding their home. Now, it could be that there are some Virgos that are trying to transform their home. They're remodeling things. And the frustrations are between January and the end of the year, everything doesn't go to plan. And you have to maybe on a regular basis work out some frustrations with regards to remodeling your home. It doesn't mean it won't happen. Certainly being in Sagittarius is a fairly lucky sign, right? Okay. What else have we got here for you? When we look at Jupiter conjunct Uranus around the 25th of April at 22 degrees of Taurus, it's going to be around the 25th of April, and it's going to trine your sign, and it's going to aspect your 9th house. This is a fabulous opportunity in April, and actually into May too, for some Virgos, to probably take a trip. If you do want to take a trip, this would be a fantastic time, especially overseas, for instance. If you want to start a new advanced degree program, great time. If you want to get published, great time in April. If you need to tie up some kind of legal matter, going to have big assistance in April, maybe even unexpectedly. Some advisor is going to come in like a lawyer and boom, help you solve that problem. So a trine is very positive energy. You do have to have something around that 22 degree mark of Taurus for it to actually have an effect, or say 22 degrees of your sign, Virgo. But that's a very positive time period, generally speaking, for you, Virgo. Now, your new moon is going to be at 11 degrees of Virgo on the 3rd of September. So certainly if your birthday is around that time period, this is going to have you not only have a new start, but it's going to have a new start for the whole year that follows. So congratulations to those folks that have something around 11 degrees of Virgo. So Virgo, you are going to have Pluto really aspecting your 6th house of what? Health, your day-to-day job. If you have employees, it's employees. So I would say that you'll get some indication in 2024 of these areas needing to be transformed. Hey, it could be that you take on this whole different attitude towards how you eat, or how you exercise, and really put energy into transforming your body inside and out. Or you get an opportunity to work with somebody in a position of power that helps you do that too. But these are big transformational energies. Certainly Pluto in the 6th house, you definitely want to take care of your health. So I would say that anything comes up for you regarding your health, don't hesitate to get it checked out with an expert. You should have assistance at this time to do that. For others, this could be a total transformation of the day-to-day job you do, and if you don't work, it's the day-to-day activities that you do. You could also, there's going to be some Virgos that acquire some elevation in power with regards to your day-to-day job, probably having employees reporting to you. And maybe you're going to have some big power here. You know, with power comes great responsibility, though. But there are going to be some Virgos that are going to be doing that. But transformation of your day-to-day job is really up for you. So for some Virgos, you may literally be changing your job, either within the organization you're with or a whole new job. That's going to require you elevating to a bigger or higher level of power with regards to employees underneath you. All right. Take care, Virgo. Okay, so for Libra, you're still under the auspices of these eclipses, right? Either in your sign or in your opposite sign of Aries. So notably, you've got 2 eclipses that are going to be happening. You've got the full moon in Libra at the end of March. So there's going to be some big illumination for you, especially if you've got something around 5 degrees of Libra. And then you've got a new moon at 10 degrees of Libra on the 2nd of October. So I would say both March and October are going to be important to you. Why? First, in the March one, it's you realizing either something's culminating, something you need to let go of. And for some Librans, it might be you letting go of a relationship. It could also have you tying up some maybe legal matter of some sort. It could also be illuminating, Libra, where you're not having balance in your life. Right? So that's the end of March one. And then when we have that new moon on the 2nd of October, that's going to light up the whole of October for you for new starts, especially if you have something around that 10 degrees. For some people, it may be literally starting a career in diplomacy. Others, you pass the bar and you're now officially a lawyer. For others, it could have you dealing in a new way with legal matters. For others, it could also have a new start for you to have harmony in your life and to have balance in your life. So both these eclipses are really highlighting in my mind for 2024 for Librans, generally speaking. You need to bring harmony and balance into your life in 2024 to get on this whole new start with the assistance of that new moon in October. Now, when we look at the other new moon, which is going to be in Aries, it's a total eclipse on the 8th of April. At 19 degrees of Aries. So this is going to be more than likely something to do with a partner, more than likely a marriage partner. Now this could be this new moon in Aries in April. Maybe you get married. That could be for some Librans are up for that. That could happen. It's a new start, right? So it's very favorable that way. And it's a total eclipse. It's going to change your life. But it could also literally have your partner have something major happen to them that affects you, but it comes through them. Clients can also bring some new big start for you at that eclipse in April in Aries too. Now, Venus, as you know, rules your sign, Libra. So we like to look, well, where is Venus going to be most positive in 2024 for you? Well, it's going to be in September. You're going to have Venus in Libra most of September. So again, hey, we can pick out September here as a time period where you may attract in what? Attract in benefits, just generally speaking. Attract in money. Attract in love. Maybe that's going to be up for you. Maybe some new relationship that may started at the new moon in April starts really blossoming for you when Venus is in your sign in September, right? But women could be important for you, for sure, especially September time period. Now that Mercury retrograde that is going to be happening at kind of the same month that the eclipse is happening, is also going to be in your opposite sign. The whole time, that whole Mercury retrograde in Aries stays in Aries. So that whole retrograde is going to be in that 7th house again. So again, this could be your partner, your marriage partner. Something's up with them with regards to maybe how they communicate with you or you communicate with them. It could be for others putting some kind of legal things together with regards to a marriage partner or business partner, or both. It could have you going back and having discussions with a partner. Let's just say you're involved in some legal case of some sort. It could have you going behind the scenes to try to make things better or figure out what to do here together with a partner, right? Yeah. So that Mercury retrograde in Aries runs in tandem with the new start in your 7th house. So partners are big for you in that April time period, and actually into May too. So I would say, Libra, listen to your partners is the best thing I can advise you, and work with them to put maybe something together that helps you get this new start on the 8th of April when you've got that new moon eclipse happening, right? And also in April, Venus is going to be in Aries. Again, that's going to be in your opposite sign of the 7th house. So, the best possible thing I can see happening here, especially during that April time period, is you could attract in a potential marriage partner for yourself. You could decide to get married also in April too. These could all be favorable for you to change your life. And to put more balance and harmony into your life too. We also have Jupiter towards the end of May is going to be going into Gemini, and that trines your sign for a whole year. And it involves your 9th house. So, this could bring in you literally becoming a teacher. So for some Librans, you may have some kind of teaching role that starts manifesting itself towards the end of May 2024. Some may even be teaching the law at this time, because that's very Libra-like, right? Now, the 9th house could activate you deciding to maybe go back and get some kind of education for the next year, or upgrade some of your skills. For others, it may have you, if you've got to deal with anything in the legal profession, this is positive, it's a trine, so you're going to work stuff out. For others, it may have you deciding to take some trip. Maybe you've not been taking vacation, and you get this great idea towards the end of May. Hey, I'm going to take a trip, and you start planning for that to kick off in 2024. Maybe that kickoff is going to happen at your new moon in October, right? It would be a good thing to aim for sure. It's also publishing the 9th house. So for those Librans that want to publish something, it's a favorable setup for the whole year to do that, right? Now, Pluto will be in Aquarius from 0 to 2 degrees in 2024. And then the following year, 2025, we'll have it go into Aquarius fully for 20 years. And hey, it trines you. How awesome is that? And it trines your 5th house. Wow. So there's going to be some transformational energies start to peek through in 2024, but manifest more the following years with regards to what? With regards to you getting into any kind of creative projects, those are going to be highly favored, and highly favored to actually transform you in a positive way. And that creative project could mean children. So you may start having children, and you may get some indication of that in 2024. Maybe you'll get married and follow up with children the following year. There's going to be some Librans that fall into that. It's your own business, the 5th house too. So this is going to be, a favorable 2-decade time period, Libra, for you to develop favorably and attract in favorable things to start your own business. But creative endeavors are going to be, and especially unusual, outside the box creative endeavors. And if there's some element of a humanitarian friendship type thing, and also utilizing any social platform like the internet, YouTube, all that type of thing, it's all going to be favorable for you. But true love is also represented by that 5th house. So There's going to be some Librans in 2024 into 2025 that will probably fall in love, get married. There may be others that leave a marriage or serious relationships and discover true love with that influence of Pluto trining their 5th house of true love, right? All right. Take care of yourself, Libra. Well, hi, Scorpio. So Scorpio, really all through 2024, most of the action is really going to be happening with regards to your opposite sign, Taurus, which of course is the 7th house and it's partnerships. So all sorts of partnerships are up. We're talking about business partnerships. We're talking about marriage partnerships. We're talking about clients. And we're talking about any other is certainly going to be up for you with regards to unexpected things and not necessarily unexpected bad things. There will be some Scorpios that end up getting married. More than likely, it will probably be in April. That would be certainly a lovely month to get married. Why? Because we have that whole conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus in your 7th house, opposite you, right? 7th house rules marriage, other things too. But there will be that positive thing going on. But it could also be a time equally that you put together this fantastic business partnership, or that you develop clients that are very lucky for you and bring you lots of benefits, maybe foreign people. And in fact, there could be foreign people, if we talk about marriage, come into view for you and are very favorable for you in that month of April 2024. You will have also a favorable trine formed from both Saturn as well as Neptune in Pisces, right? That's a fellow water sign trining you. And that's aspecting your 5th house. So this could bring in some true inspirational energy for you. That's very creative too. The 5th house is the house of creativity. It's the house of true love. So again, we may have some kind of love thing happening. It's also children. So there may be some real kind of inspirational, dream-like energy around in 2024, aspecting that 5th house. There may be some Scorpios that maybe haven't been able to get pregnant. I'm thinking that. And something happens where someone who is an expert in the field, that's Saturn, helps you make that dream come true. Now, it's not going to be necessarily for everybody, but I'm thinking Saturn is the expert, Neptune's your dream, trining you in the 5th house. If your dream is to have children, you've not been able to, this might be the year that happens. Now, it can also bring in, for those people who are working in the creative arts, well, this is off the charts, especially if you're in music, poetry, that type of thing, even dance. This is going to be awesome for you. The 5th house can also bring some fame as well. So there's going to be some Scorpios that have real elements of fame come into their life as a result of whatever artistic thing that they're doing in 2024. Now, that full moon eclipse that's going to be happening in Pisces on September, it'll also be trining your 5th house. So I would say look at that full moon in September as kicking off what I've just spoken about very favorably. And for some Scorpios, it's going to be a moment of fame, for sure. Yeah. And because that eclipse is in Pisces, and we've not got the North nodes in Pisces yet, this is just the start. This is like an indication of what's going to start following the next year in January 2025 for 18 months. Aspecting your 5th house will continue. Creativity will be off the charts. Now, we know Pluto as well as Mars as an ancient ruler, but let's just stay with Pluto. Pluto is your ruler. So we know that Pluto for 2024 will do a little bit of staying in Capricorn, but it is going to be spending a fair amount of time between 0 and 2 degrees of Aquarius. The thing is, Scorpio, it squares your sign. So we're talking about involving your 4th house here. So the 4th house can represent your family, your mother, your literal house, so there may be some problems with regards to any of these areas that you've got to work out, or just some challenges of some sort. Now, these challenges are going to continue for some time, though, in your fourth house. So I would say just maybe look to, if you're say buying a new house, if it was me, I'd be looking very carefully at whatever structures are going on in that house, maybe some unusual things that could potentially happen. Are you in an earthquake zone? All those types of things. I'm not saying don't buy a house. Of course, we still got to get through and do our activities that we want to do in our life. But it just brings some challenges for you. So the thing that you can do is double, triple check. If you're going to buy a house, all aspects and history of that house before you buy is what I would say. But it could also just bring in some issues with regards to your mother or your family, and maybe have nothing directly to do with you, but you've got to get involved because it is your mother and it is your family, right? And it could also be that maybe a member of your family or your mother has to come and live with you in your home. And this is going to involve you adjusting to that and making allowances for that person now living in your home. You will entertain Venus in Scorpio the first half of October. So if you're wanting to attract in love, money, or values of some sort, of buy new possessions, that first half of October with Venus in your sign is going to be very favorable for you, Scorpio. Yeah, and I mean, for you, that Jupiter conjunct Uranus, as I spoke about, is also going to be affecting you from the standpoint of the 7th house in April. So that's a big turning point for you of some sort with regards to partnerships. Mars, which is the co-ruler of your sign, will go retrograde in Leo. And of course, Leo squares your sign, and we're looking at your 10th house. So because it is a co-ruler, I would say, this is in December time period, actually November, December time period. Mars will be in Leo starting in November, so the retrograde won't happen to December, and it'll last for a little while. So I would say that certainly you may have challenges with regards to your career or your long-term goals. For others, your reputation could be affected, or your social standing of some sort. Now, it just could be that you're being stymied or delayed in maybe you want to advance in your career. And you think you're advancing in November, and December we have the retrograde starting, and someone says, not so fast. Have you passed this test? Have you got this qualification? So, hey, Scorpio, if you're wanting to be doing something like that in 2024, I'm making this in December 2023, start looking carefully at any qualifications that you might need to do what you want to do in your career in 2024. So that's a heads up for you. So it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It might mean you have to work hard to make that happen, but that you've got all the things that you need to make it happen. And you just need to impress your superiors to say, okay, you can have it, right? Now for you, Pluto in Aquarius will also square your sign, and it'll square your 4th house. So we talked about that a little earlier, but just know that the whole idea of this Pluto and your 4th house is to really transform your living situation. So, I mean, that's what I got as I looked at all this and then said, well, wait a minute, let's go back on that Pluto squaring your sign. It's really meant for you to transform the place that you live. And it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just may mean that you've got to put some effort into it. And it won't all be laid out for you, right? Like appearing on a silver platter or something like that. Okay, I think we're going to end there. Focus on that new moon in Scorpio, which is going to be at 9 degrees on the 1st of November. So that's going to kick off your month, Scorpio. And certainly if you've got something around that 9 degrees, that new moon is going to be affecting you for the whole year. All right. Take care of yourself, Scorpio. Hi, Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, right on the 1st of January, you have Mercury going direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, it still has to come out of shadow through January, probably right around the third week of Jan, it'll be out of shadow. But this is great news. If you have something around 22 degrees, this could have a real turnaround with regards to what? Any written work, communications that may have gone awry in December. And I certainly do have my own Mercury is at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So it'll be interesting to see what happens during January for me with regards to miscommunications that may have happened in December, coming full out into the open and moving forward in January. Now, the other thing that goes with this particular degree point, so bear with me, is an actual Mercury retrograde starting at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And that's going to be on the 26th of November. So for those, especially those Sagittarians that say are early born Sagittarians, when we have that Mercury retrograde at 22 Sagittarius, it's going to now cause you to have difficulties with communications potentially, especially with something, a foreign element. It could have the law coming in here. So we're looking at all things Sagittarian, right? The law, publishing, advanced degrees you might want to take. Know that on the 26th of November, that Mercury goes retrograde at 22 degrees. So if you've got something around that point and you're trying to do all these things that I've just mentioned that are ruled by the ninth house, you may have some delays that you'll have to account for. It won't change maybe long term, but it may have you going back over some things in those areas of life that I just spoke about. But these two time periods may be connected for some reason with regards to communications, writing, emails, anything regarding that. So the 1st of Jan and then the 26th of November, when we have Mercury at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. It's kind of interesting, actually. And I think in terms of foreign affairs, there'll certainly be a lot of foreign affairs literally during the whole of 2024 up for review. All right. So when we see in February, we dial back to like that third week or so of January when we have the Sun conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. And then in February, we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, all at 0 degrees, also at 0 degrees of Aquarius. It sextiles, right, your sign. So I would say, Sagittarius, if you've got anything, say, around from 0, I would take 0 right up the way to 3 degrees of Aquarius in your chart. You've got this fabulous sextile happening, which will actually start when the Sun conjuncts Pluto in January, and then throughout the first half of February, all the other inner planets also sextiling. So see if you've got those degrees anywhere in your chart, because they'll be favorably activated with regards to giving you opportunities potentially in those areas. And those opportunities are more than likely going to come through something like third house matters, and that is communications of any sort. It could be short travel of some sort. Right? So as opposed to long distance, this is short distance travel, the third house. It could be just certifications. That type of thing could come in to be more meaningful for you. Your siblings and neighbors may take on more importance for you too with regards to you transforming. And don't forget that once Pluto goes fully into Aquarius in 2025, that whole area of your life will be lit up for some time. So there's kind of a heads up, mostly February time period. See what comes up for you in terms of opportunities in the houses that are affected for you, especially that third house, because that may be a heads up of the following year and many years to come. Those areas may give you lots of opportunities for positive transformation. All right, so when we look at both Saturn and Neptune, both in Pisces, they're at different degree points. But that squares your sign, Sagittarius, and it squares your 4th house. So this is going to be an influence that's going to be ongoing on and off, and especially the Neptune one, where Neptune will get to 29 degrees of Pisces squaring your sign. So sort of look at those degrees, because it could put in some difficulties with regards to your 4th house. And the 4th house is the home that you live in. It could be your childhood home. It's your mother, and by extension, your family and your habits. Well, all those are going to need some work on your part, Sagittarius, where you may have to resolve some challenges there that aren't going to be automatically figured out for you. You're going to be involved in the figuring out. Now, if you're, for instance, say buying a home, I would say, and this is just applying to kind of the whole time period of 2024, just do your due diligence, right? Do your due diligence to put yourself in a favorable situation. Do all the checks of the home itself, maybe double check some things. But it could be that for some Sagittarians that you're having to deal with, say your mother is now on her own and she needs a bit of care and she can no longer stay in her home. Or alternatively, she can stay in her home, but she needs assistance and you live close by and you go to live with her. And this is an adjustment time period, or vice versa. She comes to live with you and it's an adjustment period of both of you living in the home together. And this can also apply to family members as well, of course. All right. So when we look at June, we have Mercury and Venus in Gemini, and that's in your 7th house. So that's opposite to your sign, Sagittarius. So this says to me that June may be an important month for you to communicate with regards to a business partnership in particular, clients. There may be much more communication going on with clients if that's what you do as part of your business. But it could also bring up communications with regards to your marriage partner, and where you'll have to deal with a lot more things. Now, it can be pleasant because you've got Venus there, right? So it's both Venus and Mercury, and they're not going retrograde at this part. It could just be pleasant conversations. Maybe you will have some flirtations. Gemini is very flirtatious, and with Mercury and Venus in Gemini, it could be that you'll have some very nice, favorable, flirtatious energy going on with that 7th house as well. And maybe a potential marriage partner comes into view for you that you literally communicate with. Now, when we look at that Jupiter conjunct Mercury, as well as Venus that we just spoke about, that's also going to be in June. So this is going to be potentially, I would say, a teacher or an advisor into view for you. Because it's in the 7th house of other, it can be people like other people, like an advisor of some sort comes in for you of benefit. So pay attention. I mean, if you are, for instance, looking for some advisor for whatever it is that you need, either a teacher, advisor, that type of thing, I would say June is going to be really awesome for you to pull in and attract the right person for yourself. Like it could be a lawyer, it could be a financial advisor. Especially financial advisor, because that's Mercury and Venus together, right? Or even it could be that maybe with your marriage partner, you enter into some psychological therapy. That's excellent. June would be the month to do it for sure. You also are going to have a full moon in Sagittarius in June as well, so it could bring some conclusion or some big illumination to your partnerships as well, business as well as marriage. Let's see here. So Jupiter rules your sign, so we always want to look at, well, where is Jupiter for this year in 2024? And Jupiter for you this year is in your opposite sign of Gemini, the latter half of the year. And so this says that partners and partnerships, clients, business partnerships are all going to be important for you to pay attention to with regards to doing appropriate communication with them. Or they may be doing a lot more communicating. Maybe they are even going to be doing some short distance travel that somehow affects you, right? Gemini is about short travel as well. Gemini is also about siblings. So siblings may be more important to you, as well as your neighbors, your neighborhood. You may have to actively enter into some kind of communications with these people, especially starting towards the end of May 2024, following the whole year to May 2025. So we have a Mercury retrograde that starts in Virgo, and that's going to be in August. It doesn't stay in Virgo, it does dip back into Leo, but the retrograde itself does start in Virgo, and that's going to aspect your 10th house by square, right? So I would say that, especially the August time period, there may be some challenges for you with regards to what? Your career, your reputation, your social standing, your long-term goals. There may just be some challenges. Now, with Virgo, Virgo says, collect the most important facts. Don't just collect all the facts. Collect the important facts. And so if, for instance, you're thinking here in 2023 that you want to change up your career, you could potentially have opportunity to put a plan in place and do some investigating of that and what you have to do to make that happen in August during the retrograde. And then once the retrograde is stopped, you can then maybe go forward with whatever plan it is. And the plan may include you have to get some more certifications. The plan may include you want to do an advanced degree, all that type of thing. The plan may be you want to totally do something different in your career. Spend that retrograde period in August of investigating how you can do that, right? But it could see some delays with regards to you wanting to do or institute a change in a career or communicating with people, say, in a job. They may not flow as easily as you want. You may not hear back from a job interview, for instance, or an application, that type of thing. You just may have to put some extra effort in to see where it's at, right? So when we look at Pluto, once it goes into Aquarius full time, right now it's only between 0 and 2 degrees. And if you do have something around 0 to 2 degrees, this could be a year that it starts really affecting you. It's going to be sextiling your sign, and it's going to be in your 3rd house. So this is awesome for any kind of improving communications, developing maybe a new communication style, maybe even taking up a new language. You may get opportunities to do that, and it's very favorable for you. It could help transform you. Your siblings may be more important with regards to helping transform you as well. You could end up having to take up some kind of short-term travel as maybe part of your career, or maybe the new career that you want to do involves you doing short-term travel around your city or the state. But all those areas of life, or writing, if you're interested in writing could take on some transformational properties here, especially once we have Pluto going into Aquarius in 2025 permanently for 20 years. You could produce some, really important pieces of work during that time period. 3rd house is also anything to do with sales and commerce. Perhaps you'll be a powerhouse and set up some kind of situation with regards to maybe an online store of some sort that starts to make a lot of money for you. All right, when we look at that eclipse that's going to be happening, it's a total eclipse, new moon eclipse at 19 degrees of Aries. And that's going to be around April 2024. And concurrent with that, we're also going to have a Mercury retrograde that stays in Aries too. That's all of April. Well, that's favorable for you. The whole thing is favorable for you because it trines your sign. And especially if you have something around that 19-degree mark of Aries, or you would say have your sun or your ascendant at 19 or so degrees of Sagittarius, this is going to form a trine and very favorable energy for you. So there's some big new start that's up here for you. And I mean, that big new start is going to be in your, let's just see what house it's going to be in for you, Sagittarius. Yeah, it's going to be in your 5th house. So that month of April is going to be some new big start for you with regards to big creative projects, especially ones where you take the initiation of it. If children are important for you, it could be some Sagittarians will get pregnant at this time and or have a child. It could also mean a new love comes into your life of significance. I mean, that eclipse at 19 Aries on the 25th of April is a total eclipse, and it's a new start. But overall, your creativity should be operating at a fairly high level, especially if you've got something around those degree points. With the retrograde part of it happening also in Aries, it just may mean that you'll have to do some planning in April to maybe make some of these new things that you want to do towards the end of April actually happen, and work with that eclipse to put that newness, at least in motion, right? When we look at also April, we've got Jupiter conjunct Uranus, and that's going to be in your 6th house. So the sixth house is the house of health. It is your day-to-day job. If you have employees, it's your employees. So some kind of unexpected benefit potentially is going to happen, or at least some kind of big illumination for you is going to happen in that house for you when we have the conjunction. The conjunction is going to be at 22 degrees of Taurus. So you really have to have something around that degree to have this as a significant thing. But if you do, it's going to for sure bring up something unexpected your way, potentially bring in some good benefits for you for your health. So for those Sagittarians, say, that have some ill health of some sort, this could bring in a teacher, that's Jupiter, unexpectedly for you to help you with that. So I would say in April, if you have something like that step forward for you, you might want to take full advantage of that because that's going to be very good for you. Now, the big thing is that you do, because it's in your sixth house, pay attention to anything that might spontaneously turn up regarding your health. It doesn't mean you're going to have bad health. It could just be some lucky benefit where you see some small thing happening and you go in to get it checked out and they say, no problem, good thing you came in now because we can take care of it. That sort of thing can happen. It can also bring in unexpectedly a whole new job for you, right? Your day-to-day work. If you don't work, it could bring in something unexpected. Maybe you're going to decide to do some teaching, not necessarily to earn money, but that's what you want to do day to day is actually teach, because that's very much Jupiter conjunct Uranus, where you unexpectedly get an opportunity to do that, right? Maybe even teach about health, help people with their health, that type of thing too, right? Okay, let's just see what else we've got going on here. Yeah, that whole conjunction that I spoke about, that's going to happen earlier on in the year. So we're talking about the end of January right through the first half of February, where we're going to have the Sun conjunct Pluto, Mercury, Mars, and Venus conjunct Pluto, all at 0 degrees Aquarius. Everyone's at that, all those planets during that time period. Well, that sextiles your sign, Sagittarius. So this could be very, very fortunate for you. Again, back to that third house. But this is a big push. Like, this is like people in power reaching out to you saying, if you've got these degree points, right? Would you like to present for us? Would you like to get involved in this really lucrative sales and commercial project? You're going to be supported by those, the Sun conjunct Pluto, and then all the planets right the way through the first half of February also conjuncting that same point. So your third house is going to somehow be activated. Now, it could be that you just get in touch with or have to deal more with favorably your siblings for some reason, that you have to get much more involved in that, or more involved in your neighborhood. Maybe something like even a neighborhood watch thing you help put together that can help transform your community. That would be very much all those planets sextiling Pluto and you in Sagittarius, right? Or conjuncting Pluto and sextiling you, Sagittarius. That would be an awesome way to use that energy. End of Jan, early February. But the third house is also writing projects, so you may be approached to do some writing end of Jan, early first half of February that really interests you. And with Venus involved here too, there may be some decent money that's involved in this as well, right? Now, we didn't talk about the full moon. That's going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces, and that's going to be squaring your sign. And we already know that both Neptune as well as Saturn are also going to be continuing to square your sign and your fourth house. So Sagittarius, this is just like a heads up. Something's going to culminate there in September regarding your home, your family, and or your mother and your habits. There's going to be a change there that's got to happen. And it being a full moon, it could just mean that everything gets illuminated for you regarding those areas of your life. It could also be that you could decide to buy or sell a home at that time, at the eclipse point, especially in September. But with both Saturn and Neptune squaring your sign and that same house, there could be problems or challenges with regards to a house, maybe that you buy or that you want to sell, but there could be problems also that culminate in September at the eclipse at 25 of Pisces, right? It just means that you have to think outside the box, Sagittarius, and you're really good at doing that. All right. Take care of yourself, Sagittarius. All right, Capricorn. So Capricorn, you're entertaining Pluto for the last time, the last year in your lifetime. It will be at 28, 29 degrees of Capricorn, right? So it's only if you've got something at that point that you will still be affected by it. Otherwise, there probably won't be any real effect at this time. If you do, know that it's all finishing in November, right? That's it. Done and dusted. So for those folks that have got something aspected here, know that you're on sort of the downward slope regarding any of your transformation, which sometimes can be challenging, right? And that you're going to be brand new, starting all over again, right? When you're out of having Pluto out of your sign. Now, Saturn does rule your sign, and so we look to say, well, where is Saturn for 2024? And we know it's in Pisces, along with Neptune. And so both these planets are sextiling you, right? And so that provides opportunity. And where does it provide opportunity? It provides opportunity to your third house. So we both got Neptune as well as Saturn providing this positive energy with regards to your third house. And the third house is all about communication. So it really says to me, I'm just thinking that maybe there's going to be some Capricorns that maybe in their job, they're involved in setting up some kind of big networking type system or systems. I'm thinking systems of some sort for the company they work for. And you've got to do a lot of communicating. And part of the job that you're doing involves communication. Or writing. Maybe some of you are going to be writing. Maybe some of you are going to be transforming the way you present yourself, the way you actually even speak. Maybe even others will be delving into learning another language or languages, because this is a long-term transit for you, right? But very, very positive. I mean, Saturn will stay in there for well over another year, giving structure and also giving you people who are more knowledgeable than you, favorably assisting you with anything with that third house, right? Neptune will be culminating this year around that 29-degree mark. It still goes back and forward with the retrograde. But there may be some kind of real, I'm thinking like real inspiration come to some Capricorns, especially regarding anything to do with, say, a writing project of some sort. There could be some real inspiration for you there. And certainly if there's anything around the metaphysical world that you're involved in, those could do very well for you right now. All right. So you've got 2 new moons this year, Capricorn. Last year, Cancer had 2 new moons, but this year it's you. And so for the first new moon is on the 11th of Jan at 20 of Capricorn. The second one is at the end of the year at the 30th of December at 9 degrees of Capricorn. With both these being new starts for you, Capricorn, this whole year of 2024 is just brand new for you. And the fact that Pluto is also moving out of your sign in November, I would say this is going to be a turning year for you with regards to new starts. Whatever new starts you need to do in this year, they're going to be very favorably aspected here with Pluto leaving your sign and with the 2 new moons. I would probably pick those time periods for literally new starts, but they do bookend both of the years here. And certainly at 20 degrees or 9 degrees of Capricorn, if you've got something there like an ascendant or a sun, wow, that's just awesome. You will definitely be affected up to a year after that new moon happens, right? But you are favored for new starts here, Capricorn, so be optimistic, right? Now, when we look at the eclipses that are continuing to happen in both Aries as well as Libra, they square your sign, and they involve your 4th and your 10th houses. So the full moon in Libra will affect your 4th house, and then the one in April, which is the new moon total eclipse, affects your 10th house. So to me, it says to me, certainly the first part of this year, Capricorn, there's going to be some challenges with regards to your home as well as your career. And this could play out in lots of different ways. It could play out with regards to you maybe wanting to do something to your home, put an extension in or renovate it, and you're not making enough money to do that. And so you're trying to work on your career to get more money or to increase your career. Or you're working so hard at your career, literally going into work, that you're neglecting your family at home, and it comes to light this year that you got to have better balance. I guess the bottom line is this: you're going to have to work on better balance with regards to the career and the career you want to do, and your home life, your family, and maybe your mother may be involved here to some extent too. Especially during that first half, right? I mean, we do have another Libra eclipse on the 2nd of October as well, a new moon. But it's really that first half that I'm beginning to see this. And also we have that Mercury retrograde in April, also squaring your 4th house too. So there may be some contentious stuff going on in the family and or your home, difficulties with the home for some reason in that April time period, with so much Aries going on squaring your sign, right? Now, when we look at that beautiful Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus, at 22 degrees of Taurus, well, my goodness, that is just awesome. It trines your sign, Capricorn, and it aspects the 5th house. Wow. So for some Capricorns, this could bring in a pregnancy, if that's what you want. It can bring in that new fabulous creative project. It can bring in the genesis of your own business. Children may feature for you. It may also, though, bring in unexpectedly a new love into your life. That's also 5th house. And with Jupiter involved, this could be a foreign person. And it literally could be one of those things where, you go to a party and open the door and you have this connection with somebody. That could definitely happen. Yeah, that's a very, very favorable one for you. Now in May also, so that's April. So in May, Venus, it's a lesser benefic, is going to be in Taurus too, also aspecting that 5th house. So there may be some additional stuff that happens in the 5th house. Let's say you do meet somebody in April unexpectedly, maybe a foreigner. In May, you have potential for developing that. Now, this could also bring in money because of Taurus is associated with money as well, and so is Venus. So it could also bring that in for you. Maybe some creative project that you do brings big money. Maybe you're going to be fronted some money up front for some big creative project that you've been earmarked for. For others, you may discover you're pregnant. That may happen, say in May. All these things are possibilities, right? But that whole influence of the 5th house is a big creative one, right? Yeah, the 5th house is definitely creativity, no question of it. But certainly if you do want to start your own business, May could potentially be a fabulous time to pull the trigger on a new business with that 5th house involved too. And I mean, maybe for others, I'm not saying you're going to win the lottery, but the 5th house does, along with the 8th house, also rules things like lottery wins and that too, right? Games of chance. So April might be very lucky for you potentially, and May too. Let me know if that happens. Now, when we look at Pluto, talking about money, Pluto for you Capricorn is in the 2nd house of the income that you earn. It's the values, especially value of self and your possessions. So overall, that influence of Pluto going into Aquarius. Now, for 2024, it only goes up to 2 degrees. But the following year, 2025, it will move on, right? And start really staying in Aquarius and eventually hit something in Capricorn, either your ascendant or your sun, right? Or both. But that 2nd house says you have the potential here of transforming the money that you make. And that's a long-term effect, right? So see what turns up for you in 2024 in terms of maybe some little taps on the shoulder of, hey, this is another area that you could potentially earn money in. And maybe investigate it a bit. That's what I would do, because there's opportunity for great transformation of your money and potentially, gaining power through that money too, Yeah, and it could be people in power approach you and give you money or want to offer you money maybe for a new job. But equally, you could come into your own power of valuing yourself, where you realize, wait a minute here, I've got to show how much I value myself, and how much I value myself should be reflected in the money that I earn. So it could be that you negotiate with those in power, say in the business you're in, to get more money. It has potential for you earning more money, big money, right? Yeah, I really like that. So enjoy both those new moons that you have, Capricorn, bookending both sides or both ends of 2024. And do take care of yourself. Bye for now, Capricorn. Okay, so Aquarius, for 2024, your big news is going to be, of course, Pluto going up to 2 degrees of your sign, Aquarius. Now, eventually, Pluto will conjunct whatever it is you have in Aquarius, whether it's your sun or your ascendant or both, and really bring in great transformation for you. But this year, it really only goes up to 2 degrees of Aquarius. So for those folks that are Aquarius that do have this, you can expect that you're going to be given the heads up on the transformation that has to happen in your life. So for some Aquarians, you may get involved in humanitarian type projects. You may get involved in putting groups together, for that matter. For others, I mean, this could also be things like social networking platforms becomes your job, or something you really actively do, maybe your own business. You really start flourishing in that area, right? For others that say are involved in science and that, you could be, the discoverer of some big scientific innovation of some sort, because that's also Aquarius too, right? All right, so Aquarius, if you do have these degrees, right, but even if you don't, you may still feel the effects of this whole conjunction happening at 0 degrees of Pluto in Aquarius. So in January, towards the end of January, we have the Sun conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Then in February, for the first half of February, we've got the inner planets. So we've got Mercury, we've got Venus, and we've got Mars, all conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so to me, this is a big initiatory energy for all Aquarians, where, this could be your opportunity to really see what you might be able to change up, what things that you can do to transform your life, right? And just be given some, kind of like a preview. That's what I'm thinking, a preview of what you could do, or what's a possibility for you. But certainly if you have something around that 0 or 1 degree of Aquarius, this year could be off the charts for you, Aquarius, in terms of real transformation of your life. What needs to go? Pluto says, what needs to go here? What needs to be transformed, right? And so that is what Pluto is going to be asking of you in your sign. Now, we're going to have that whole Venus conjunct Pluto for a second time on the 8th of December this year at 0 degrees. So this may also be an important time period for money. This could be transformation of money, Venus conjunct Pluto, but it can equally be a transformational relationship. Something could happen in Feb, love-wise and or money-wise for that matter, or both for some Aquarians, that culminates in something very beautiful and transformational around the 8th of December this year, or 2024. Yeah, those are beautiful energies that you've got operating right now. Now, the other thing that we have happening in April, besides a Mercury retrograde in Aries and an eclipse in Aries, we also have Jupiter conjunct Uranus, right? Now, that's going to be squaring your sign, Aquarius. So there may be something upsetting that happens with regards to maybe a foreign connection, that type of thing. Let me just see where we're going to go with this. And so that's the 4th house for you. Taurus is your 4th house, Aquarius. So it just could be that something unexpected happens at the home or to the home. And a lot of these things sometimes you can't really pre-plan for. But with Jupiter involved here, Jupiter tends to bring in benefits. So there may be some unexpected benefits that's presented as a challenge. And you get over that challenge and you get the benefits. That's what I'm thinking. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the home you live in. We're talking about your family home. We're talking about your mother as well as your family. So it could be that unexpectedly your mom has to come and live with you. And you're thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be a big challenge. But she ends up bringing maybe some potential resources with you that really help you with regards to your mortgage payments. I'm just saying as an example what could happen, right? Or you're blocked from buying a home, that it seems that no matter what you try, you can't buy it. But you realize afterwards, with the influence of Jupiter, thank God that thing happened and stopped me from buying that home, because now you're finding out it's not a good thing, or you didn't want to go there, or something else happened in your life and you had to change it. Now, this also could pull in your 10th house of career by opposition. And so, especially if you have something, say, around the 22-degree mark of Taurus, your career may be somehow involved in something unexpected as well, where because of something happening in your career, you unexpectedly now have a challenge in your home. And I mean, I'm thinking like everyone's having a good time, or most people have enjoyed working from home. It may be a time when, your boss says you got to come into work now. You can't work from home anymore. And it's unexpected and it's a challenge for you because, it's going to involve extra driving, blah, 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 right? And time away from your family. So that could happen too. Now, we have a Mars retrograde that's going to happen. It starts in Leo, and that is going to be in December, and that'll be opposing. So the Mars retrograde itself in Leo is going to be in your 7th house. So there could be something up with regards to your partner, business partner, marriage partner, or any other, right? So something's going to happen to them. Maybe they're going to be entering into some delay of some sort, where they've got to review something, or they're stopped from doing something and it's affecting you. That's the general idea here. But it could also have your partner actively taking energy to review your relationship, right? Positively or negatively. Positively, it could be, hey, we could do better here. I'm reviewing what we're doing here and maybe proposing some new ways of doing your partnership, right? But it could also be new ways of actually doing a business partnership here too, right? And for others, it could be, for some Aquarians, you taking the time to plan and cultivate new clients. If you've, say, got your own business, or you deal with clients as part of what you do in your job. Yeah, so any or all those areas could be up for that Mars that's going to be opposite you, but it will be providing. It's not like you're going to have all control over this. You're going to have to work with a partner or partners, right, to move forward with whatever it is that you're moving forward with them. Now, when we look at those eclipses that are still happening in both Aries and Libra throughout the year, they sextile and trine you respectively. So these are either beaming positive energy to you or giving you opportunities, right? And if we look at the Libra part of it, so you've got a full moon and new moon eclipse in Libra, that's going to be your 9th house. So March and October could be important for stopping something as well as starting something. So let's just say in March, you are doing some legal work of some sort, and it's wrapped up at that eclipse in March at 5 degrees of Libra. There's a wrap up of it. Or maybe some kind of diplomatic type activity is wrapped up at that time that maybe you've spent a lot of time on, that you see the end of. And it's followed up in October at some new start, maybe a new start in some, so you are a lawyer. It's a new start in some kind of legal work that you're doing. I mean, the other thing that it could bring in too, especially if we just stay on the fact, maybe you're getting final qualifications for being a lawyer, right? Or final qualifications to be a diplomat. And that happens in March, which leads to an October interview for a new job that you get in one of those areas. That's a possibility for some Aquarians too. Now, we look at Aries, any eclipses in Aries and the Mercury retrograde, that will sextile your third house. So this will be bringing you that, especially that total eclipse at 19 Aries towards the end of April. That's a total eclipse new moon. And that's going to bring in potentially some opportunities for maybe short distance travel. It could bring opportunities for writing. It could just really increase lots of communications coming your way. Your siblings could become more important. Your neighborhood could become more important with regards to communications as well. Sales and commerce. There might be some sales and commerce opportunity that comes up for you at that eclipse towards the end of April. You have your new moon, Aquarius, at 20 degrees of Aquarius on the 9th of February. So certainly for those Aquarians that have, say, their ascendant or their sun around 20 degrees, this is going to be a whole new start for the whole year, right? Starting on the 9th of Feb. Right, so I'm just going to end with saying that you do have the biggest thing, like I said, is Pluto in Aquarius for the first 2 degrees of Aquarius. But you're going to be, all Aquarians are going to be getting the heads up with regards to Pluto in Aquarius and what areas of your life need to be transformed here, right? Whether you look at your ascendant, your sun sign, or conglomeration of planets, right? And I think it's all positive. Pluto just likes to transform. The big thing about Pluto Aquarius is that he tells you what you need to let go of and makes it very obvious, usually through difficulties. And so the only advice I could give you is let go of that which is leaving your life. It's meant to go. I think that's the biggest thing. I've had a lot of encounters personally with Pluto going through many aspects of my chart. And it's the one thing that I had to learn was to let go, right? Of whatever it is. It needs to be transformed. It's not working for you. All right. Take care, Aquarius. Okay, Pisces. So your big event is going to be the full moon eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces in September. Yeah, that's going to be a big kickoff. I mean, it is a full moon, but most astrologers will say that really eclipses, they're wild cards. So even though it's a full moon, it can also mean a new start. It is at 25 Pisces, so you really do have to have something around that to have some kind of effect. But let's just say that you have your ascendant at 25 of Pisces. Well, this is going to be a whole new start to your life. It may involve you letting go of some things, but you probably will be getting some big indication, probably through an event around the 18th of September at that eclipse. But that's the biggest thing. Following on the heels of that, you still are entertaining both Saturn and Neptune. Neptune's going to be getting up there to 29 degrees, doing a culmination here, right? Before it's going to go into Aries. But Saturn's going to stay in there for over a year, influencing, trying to bring structure to your dreams and your hopes and wishes, maybe your spiritual life too, right? Yeah. So we've got this Jupiter going into Gemini, and anything in Gemini squares you, Pisces. It's going to be around the 3rd and 4th week of May that Jupiter goes in Gemini for a whole year. And so this is going to be squaring your 4th house. So the 4th house has to do with your family, your mother, your habits, the home that you live in now, your childhood home. All those things are brought in here as challenges for you. Now, quite simply, I would say that if you do have some water problems in your home that you know of, no matter how small they are, I would get them fixed. Communicate with someone, Jupiter in Gemini, to get them fixed. Other than that, I would say that just be careful of all your communications to do with anything. Like say you've got contractors coming into your home, or you're even buying a home or selling a home and you're dealing with real estate agents. There's big opportunities here for you to have some kind of deception, or at the very least, confusion. regarding some aspects of your home, family, mother. So I would say just make sure you are getting all the details clearly spelt out for you. And if you don't know or are confused about something regarding buying, selling a home, go to somebody to get advice about it. Give someone that you trust the paperwork to look at and to see if they can point out anything that can be resolved. It doesn't mean it won't be resolved. It just means you're going to have to put some effort in where maybe you don't want to. It could have you also doing a lot more communicating, and this communicating may be challenging with regards to your mother and or your family, or both, right? I'm thinking, maybe your mother needs assisted care, for instance, and it's becoming obvious to the family that needs to happen. And you're having these difficult conversations with the family and the family members and her. And it's just challenging to get the whole thing sorted out. The other thing that you've got squaring your 10th house this time, so that is the Mercury going direct at the beginning of Jan 2024. But then you've got another Mercury retrograde in November, starting at that same degree, 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So I would say look around that 22 degrees of Sagittarius and see that if you've got anything around that, that's going to be forming along with the Mercury, whether it's going direct or retrograde, depending if it's January or November 2024, it will square your 10th house. Yeah. So this also could bring up something with regards to your career. And because both these Mercuries, one going direct, one goes retrograde, it's kind of bookending both ends of the year. It could be for some Pisces that you're ending your career or want to wrap up your career. And this whole year of 2024 is involved in doing that. And this is just the process that you're going to be going through. For others, you may actually be wanting to start a new career. And that chance comes in January. But then something happens in December that maybe you have to rethink some things or redo some things, right? That may happen too. Now, all of March 2024, you're going to have Venus in your sign, Pisces. So take advantage of that. If you want to attract in things, if you want to attract in love, or you want potentially more money, maybe you want to advance your spiritual practice too. This might be an ideal time to do it. It would be March 2024. Venus likes to attract. And certainly Venus loves to be in Pisces. It gives a very beautiful kind of soulmate love energy. And I'm not saying everybody in March is going to have that happen, but potentially this could bring into view some wonderful soulmate for you in March 2024. Now that whole Jupiter conjunct Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus on the 25th of April, well, Pisces, it sextiles your sign. So these are opportunities coming to what? Your third house. So for any of those Pisces that are involved in writing, and that could be writing music or doing music or dance, all that type of thing, the arts, I would say that you could have some really favorable communications come in here that are totally unexpected, out of the blue. And I'm just saying there's going to be some Pisces that are going to be writing to me to say one of their dreams came true. The song they wrote has been unexpectedly given or requested by some famous person, unexpectedly out of the blue. But this is going to bring in opportunities for those that are involved in some kind of music, dance, writing, that type of thing, writing music, writing poetry. This is going to bring in an opportunity for you, unexpected in April. That may bring some money your way. That's very Taurus too, right? Money. And third house is communication. So, wow, keep yourself open for any kind of communications related in those areas, especially if you're working in that Pisces, right? You could manifest some dreams coming true, and you could be telling the world about it. All right. So we already talked about the whole Mercury retrograde in December squaring your sign as well. When we look at Pluto, so for you, Pisces, Pluto is really, by whole house signs, is in your 12th house. And so this could present with you working behind the scenes, that you're helping transform things behind the scenes. And it could be in almost anything. But typically we're talking about hidden places. So that is hospitals, is like, that's what I'm thinking right to begin with. For some Pisces, you may end up working behind the scenes in a hospital to help transform some things back there. And this is going to be a long-term transit for you. For others, it could help you transforming maybe prison reform. For others, it may have you literally maybe transforming through some kind of ashram that you go to. Maybe you're going to set up an ashram to help transform people. You could go into some kind of shamanic type thing as maybe your career, where you help heal and transform people through the energies that you have and have developed about you. These are all positive things. But it could have you also dealing with people in power, like government offices, that type of thing. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Pluto likes to transform. But I would say with Pluto in your 12th house, if you have anything that could be potentially earmarked as something that you're trying to hide from a government office, say, for instance, I would not do that. This is not the time to do that with Pluto in the 12th house. But this other thing that Pluto can do in the 12th house is really bring a transformational energy to your spiritual life, right? That 12th house can be spiritual. And it can also, if you will allow it, Pisces, it will also allow you to transform maybe some aspects of your life that have been tripping you up, or maybe those things you've been hiding underneath the rug, maybe your whole life. You are going to be brave enough to take a look at and say, how can I transform these? So, and it's also transforming your inner mind, right, to some extent as well. But I think for most Pisces, this is going to have you either working with some major healing energy to help transform people, or working in places like behind the scenes of any sort for positive change, right? All right, Pisces, take care of yourself. Bye for now. All right, everybody. I'm sure I've missed some things out that my very apt and able subscribers and viewers and clients will point out to me in the comments, and please do that. I'm happy to have it. I did try to take a really good look at 2024, not only for, generally speaking, the months, but also for you individually. Obviously, I'm going to give you a lot more details as we go through each month and I post my videos. I did mention that I've got 2 other links here that you could check out. Jupiter going into Gemini, and then, of course, the whole Jupiter conjunct Uranus. I did videos on both those, as well as actually Pluto in Aquarius. And I think you'll really find them useful if you're interested in them. Links are below. Look, everybody, I want you to take care of yourself. We've got a new year, a new start, and I'm really feeling optimistic for everybody and sending you lots of love for, I hope, a lot of our dreams and wishes coming true in 2024. Please take care, and we'll talk to you soon.